Okay, what? Is that... Can you hear me now? For some reason, it just decided to change my microphone setting from... It changed it to, like, NVIDIA? For some reason? Yeah, I've got it on waiting because I was gonna... Um, yo, what up? Yo, what up? Yo, what up? Yo, what up? Here in green. It's not too quiet. Yeah, I'd messed around with the setting because I got these very nice little animated little guys for the ending screen, but I figured I'd use them now before we got started because we're still getting metaphor refantasio or however you say it set up. Let me turn this static. Ah. Whoa, that's really close to my face. Is that? There we go. Yeah. Last streams, it better not be the right mic. Scuffed pixels in the layout. Wait, where's the scuffed pixels? Metaphor, revengeance, yeah. I mean, it fits perfectly with the retranslated thing. So I was like, we just got to get it set up. My brother Dan is actually running ahead in the game to scrape the script as we go. Yeah, so we're not starting it just yet because there's no available Japanese script for it, which makes it quite difficult to like do on the fly, especially since there's so much unvoiced dialogue. So what Dan is doing is he's playing the game a little bit ahead of time, and then he'll be hop on the stream with me, and then because he's got I forget what it is. It's like one of those screen reader programs that like lets you rip the script. So he'll rip the script and then upload it into a document for me. Yeah, OCR. So he'll upload it into a document for me, agent. Yeah. Thanks, Deck. Into a document for me so that I can play with him with the script available, and then we just kind of have to follow the same basic route through the game. But we were going to do that anyway. So it should be interesting because he'll have seen some of it beforehand. Oh, it's not a screen reader or OCR. It grabs the text from the game itself. Okay. Dak knows what he's talking about. He's the one who set it up. Yes. Dak, yeah, it's a text hook, apparently. Dak, listen to Dak. He knows what he's talking about. It's interesting from what I've seen. Like, we could talk about it a little bit. Like, the dialogue itself, like the opening sequence, like the introduction, there's definitely some stuff that's wrong. Yo, what up, Doni? What up, not magic user? Oh, I think that's a new sub, or you changed your name or anything like that. Yeah, the flip notes artist. I love that guy. So, the opening sequence is interesting. It's like the story itself, the hook to the story seems really really cool, and I like the idea of the story, but the tone is off. It's not like they got stuff completely wrong, but the tone is really weird. Now, for what we're doing today, let's move on into what's going on today. This article. I thought this would be fun because I was linked this on Twitter. Let me see if I can move this. Now, I want to be clear. The point of this is not to shit on the translators themselves. Even though I think you can shit on them for a lot of their choices, this is really like Goofus and Gallant. Like, one of the translators working here I thought was pretty decent. She does a pretty good job. But the other guy, it's like, oh man, you'll see. It's whoa. It's oof. This so like, all right, we'll just hop into it. Like, the original title of this is kind of interesting, and I maybe I'll get Dan on if he's in, because we could have some decent discussion. In fact, I'll ping him if he's available. I don't know if he's up or not. Let me see, because we could talk about it. But I'll have him hop in if he wants. I'm just gonna ping him on Discord. Talk about. So the title of this game is kind of interesting, and I really disagree with the Heroland idea. Check revival chat nerd. What is? Tad, this doesn't say anything. Out of left field team workshop. Okay, catch up. Okay, yeah, but Tad, I'm streaming something else right now. That didn't have anything to do with the stream. You cut me off, Tad. You didn't let me finish. I was in the middle of my thought. Okay? So the title of this game is Work X Work or Walk X Walk. Listen, I'm just hanging out. But they'll go over it. This is kind of a pun in Japanese. Waku can be waku waku, which is kind of like exciting. So waku X waku is kind of like exciting is the pun here. So they decided to go with Heroland, which is kind of weird to me. I really don't like their reasons for doing that. Primarily because we'll just go through it. Heroland, known as Work X Work. I disagree with the idea of quirky. It is quirky, but I always have a little bit of a pause. It's not that they gave up and changed it completely. It's just I think that they missed the point. So talking about the localization team at Xseed, I have no opinions on Xseed. I don't keep up with names and stuff, so I'm not going to like comment on past stuff. We're just talking about the article. So I'm sure other people will have things to say about the people involved with this or the article itself, but I don't particularly care. I just want to talk about this article because I think the article itself is a really good insight into like the thought process. You very rarely get to see these people's kind of thought process, right? And like the explanations for what they're doing. So we're going to scroll by these guys' names, but whatever. You can see it on screen. I had changed it to be like he should not be named, but my computer restarted and tried to upgrade me to Windows 11, and so I lost that. But let's see, Valkyria. This is what stood out to me. Valkyria Chronicles is what stood out to me. See, this is the one that I was like, I wonder if I will have an issue with the way this guy does things. And Lori, though, seems to be great from what I could see. I mean, there were some things that I disagree with her about, but overall still pretty good from what I saw anyway. So this is interesting to start with. So Lori says, right, I always aim to make my translations sound like they were in English to begin with. That's a good sign. Like, genuinely speaking, that's a good sign. Pretty creative localizers. I don't really like the idea of you needing to be creative in so much, but if you could spin it to say like, oh, I'm being creative in that I'm making sure that it stays true to the core of the message in English while being creative about it. That works. I could say that. That's benefit of the doubt, right? If there's a joke in Japanese that doesn't translate well, put a relevant equivalent in English. The phrase that's going to sound like weird gibberish when it's directly translated, try to word it as naturally as possible and so on. That's genuinely good. Now, this is the one that stood out to me, though. My editing philosophy is... So he's not actually doing the localization here. He's editing stuff. So he takes the localization and then edits it into the final version. This is crazy. My editing philosophy is simple. Localization shines brightest when it's hidden in the shadows. Keep this in mind as we go through here. Keep this in mind. Like, the idea is great. Yo, what up, King Kuma? Thank you. Thank you for the sub, dude. Very good to see a new boy in here. New lad. Yeah. Well, no. It's right. Genuinely, if your editing philosophy was localization should be as far in the background as possible. It should not like be on people's minds. You shouldn't know or be like, where did that come from, right? Like, that's correct. You'll see that that's not what he does. Now, the other parts gives you a little taste. Like, if I was referring to my own work as criminally smooth edits or a fiction for alliteration and punmanship, I would be very... You shouldn't be talking like that. You should not be saying, like, your own work is criminally smooth. Like, I feel bad when I go back and look at stuff that I've done. Like, if I go and look at like the early Valkyria Chronicles work, And even that's not like published. I'm not like rewriting the script. There's stuff where I'm like, man, that was not good. Like I could have worded this better. There's better ways to do this. I don't think that I really nailed it. But yeah. So like the first thing is the name, right? So waku x waku, the work, they do use it as a double meaning. So work, like working. So it's kind of like a job. So it's like heroes as a job. Now I'm going to be 100%. I have not played Waku X Waku. I have not played quote unquote Heroland. And I think that's okay because I'm not about to make sweeping judgments about lines. Like, for example, I don't know if this line is right or not. It can't be helped. Thank you for the $2, Tad. Yeah, I just want people to be sincere and honest about it, right? Yeah, it's like a fantasy RPG theme park. So I'm not going to talk about like every single line, and we're not going to go through the game, all that kind of stuff. But it's interesting to think about their process. Like, so she was able to grab the game and play it ahead of time. This kind of running start is super rare. Typically, translators and editors won't get much, if any, hands-on time with the game before the work begins. That's reasonable because, you know, if they're doing a simultaneous release or a close release, it's still in development project when they're doing localization. But at the same time, it does explain a little bit, like, this isn't necessarily their fault, right? If that's the workflow, that can lead to a lot of problems where you don't have full context. So I think most people would probably be okay with a little bit of a delay between a Japanese release and an English release if it meant that the translators and localizers got more time with the product, right? And I think, I can't speak for everyone, obviously, but personally, if I was in that situation, I would say I would rather have more time. Maybe I should have background music. That's just me talking. But anyway, I would rather have more time with the product than try to get it out really quick because, yeah, it's hard, right? It's hard to translate when you don't have full context, when you don't have like finished game assets and things. That's difficult, and I don't begrudge them for that. Yeah, experiencing the story firsthand, springboard. So yeah, the title is a pun, right? Now, I don't like what they've done with Heroland because I think you need to maintain this aspect of work. Like Heroland, they're going for like a theme park, right? It's like Disneyland, Spaceland, something like that. But I don't think that speaks to the same level of like, it's not the same concept, right? I would have gone with something more like Hero 9 to 5. Or a hero's job, hero work, something like that. Because I think you want to maintain the idea of work, like a job. I get that they're saying, oh, it's kind of corporate because it's like you're working at a theme park, but I don't think that speaks to the title, right? Like Waku X Waku is like kind of fun. And then you can see in this line, 勇者様つまりお客様を楽しませて、ダンジョンから無事に開始すること。それがあなたのワークですよ、ポチオさん。So it's your work. Yeah, like a work hero, something like that. So that this line is like, you know, it's your job to lead the 勇者様, which is like heroes. But we're calling them okyakusama, so customers. Heroes are customers through the dungeon safely. That's your waku, your job. Yeah, that's the thing, Gorgat. It's like the JP title brings to mind kind of like, oh, this is just like my 9 to 5. Like, this is my job. Is like taking people who come to this place, basically a theme park, through the dungeon. It's 2 layers deep. Waku X Waku is 2 layers deep. So it's work and work, but you can think of it as waku waku, which is like excited. So it's supposed to be kind of fun. So I think that you miss out on that by having it be Heroland. I think like Hero 9 to 5 is what I would have gone with. So like if I was going to rework this line, 勇者様つまりお客様を楽しませ、ダンジョンから無事にお返しすること。それがあなたのワークですよ、ポチオさん。I might go with your your job, or maybe not job, but taking heroes through the dungeon safely and bringing them back home, that's your 9 to 5, right? Puccio-san, or Pochio, however you want to say it. That's your 9 to 5, and that's where you want to have like the title sequence, right? I think that works better because this is like, give these heroes a rousing adventure and see them through the dungeon safely. That's really all there is to it. You miss out on no, it's not receptionist. You're kind of like bringing different heroes through the game world. Yeah, I mean, it's Postmortem because this game came out a long time ago. So this, like, they even mentioned they have to sacrifice that cheesy aha moment of the work, but I don't think you had to. I really don't think you had to sacrifice that. Like, you know, you're a tour guide leading them through an attraction, basically. Yeah. So I don't think that was necessary. I think they gave up too quickly with this Heroland. Yeah, you're playing them like the guide character. So you kind of guide the different heroes through the game world. It's cool. I've never played it. It seems like an interesting game. I wouldn't want to play the translation that they have, though. So you're this guy right here. So 手柄を立ってお父さんの約束を果たす。それが俺の使命、すなわちワーク、right? I want to do good deeds and fulfill my promise to my father. That's my missions. In other words, my work. So this is another one where it's like, that's my job, like my work. Yeah, having it cut off at lucky is a little weird. So this is, I have to keep my promise to my father. I have to, fulfill, do some great deeds, fulfill the promise to my father. That's my my mission, shime, or in other words, my 9 to 5 I really think like the 9 to 5 aspect would work better here, or that's my job, something like that. So for that, I got to do great deeds, perform heroic feats, and prove myself to my father. That's my mission. That's why I came to Heroland. It's a little off. Yeah, my life's work. That could work. Yeah. That's actually a good point. You could go with that's my life's work, right? I just disagree with their reasoning here. In both cases, the katakana for work is emphasized. The protagonists each have their own work to do, but they stem from different meanings. Lucky's work is pretty straightforward. His job to be a tour guide. Prince Elric, who's fallen from first in line to 18th, his work is a mission to reclaim the title of heir apparent, which he thinks he can do at a theme park. I just think it kind of misses out. Like this is a different character. So there's two guys, but I just think it misses out on like the cheesy nature of it, right? Where's the work aspect here? Right? He's like a prince, a fallen prince who's coming to like be a tour guide, right? It's funny, but you miss out on that. Yeah, so the title is a pun on Waku Waku excitement. Japanese marketing material, wasurenai waku waku, like an unforgettable excitement. That's true. But I feel like you miss out on that. You could have gone with an exciting 9 to 5 or something along those lines, and it's just you're missing a big portion of the original point of the title. And so, like they say, we had to settle on a title that encompassed all of this excitement and fun contained on an island resort, so why not name it after the theme park itself? I just don't see the... Yeah, the lines also don't connect, Gorgad. That's a good point. I just don't see the through line here. Right? I don't see the through line where Heroland, to me, sounds generic. Like, what... If you saw Heroland as a title, I don't think that really sticks out as, like, what that's going to be about, necessarily. So then they go on to talk about... This one is somewhat difficult to say. One way or the other for Pochio. They're naming him Lucky. And I don't know if I really agree with this one. This one I'm more ambivalent about, honestly. It's not like the worst thing I've ever heard of. So, yeah. His job is to give hero dungeon tours. The beginning of the game, boy, Lucky has a real name. You can just name him yourself, basically. So how did they get to this name? Right? It's not bad. Pochi is a common dog name in Japanese. It's roughly equivalent to spot or rover. You'll see a lot of this. It's true. It's not wrong. Based on other characters, this is where I think they might have gone a little off the rails. I don't know if this is really something that you can claim. Like pochiru, a click-like onomatopoeia meaning to buy online. Yeah, kind of. Maybe. I don't know if I would go that far. Pochio, I mean, spot or rover. I think leaving it as Pochio would have been fine. But Lucky is not terrible. The issue is if you go with Lucky, I don't think you should lean into that so hard. I don't think you should base other things off of that naming, because then you're kind of 2 levels down, right? You're going from one area down to another based off of your own choice. And I'm not sure you can make that claim. They say it's a reference to like Mother 3. Yeah, it's better than naming him Poochie. Sure. But then this one is like, doesn't Duster from Mother 3 have a nickname and an afro? The DCMC band's name was Lucky. I don't think that's a reference you can really make without checking. Right? Like, Lucky is a common pet name. It sets up puns like, you lucky dog. I don't think that's good. I don't think you should do that. Like, it's a nod to Google's I'm feeling lucky. Is that really an internet reference that you can make? Can you really go down that line that far? This is one of those issues that I come up with. It's like, once you've made that decision, you're now downstreaming it, right? So now they're saying, oh, because his name's Lucky, then we can do I'm feeling lucky or you lucky dog. But did they really want to do that? Was that the point of the main character being named Pochio? Or maybe it was just meant to be like kind of scruffy, like a dog. Yeah. So then you get lines like lucky you, haha. But but what is this line in actuality? You can't know anymore. It has nothing. Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with the original at this point. It's just maybe Dan pinged me. I'm not actually in the chat room. Let me hop in the chat just in case Dan shows up. All right, there we go. But it doesn't have anything to do with the actual original lines anymore. It's just downstream of your own translation. And we ran into this so many times in Valkyria Chronicles, right? Where they would make one change and then downstream of that, there would be a bunch of other changes that are now like, oh, well, you have to do XYZ because we had this change originally. And it's just not logical. You can't do that. You can't just decide to change one thing and then downstream everything from there. And so then if you leave it blank, they made it so it goes back to Pochio. Now this one, I'm not so familiar with... Oh, they did? I didn't even know that. That's kind of sad. This one I'm not as familiar with, but I did some reading up online about these coding languages, and I'm not sure if I agree with some of the changes that they made here. The naming scheme for these NPCs for the fairies is coding languages. Lua. So this guy in a mascot suit is XAML, XAML, but that wasn't very name-like. But I don't think that's a call that you get to make. It's not name-like in Japanese either. Right? So I don't know if you get to just say, oh, that's not very name-like, so we're going to change it to Alfie based on ALF, algebraic logic function. Like, you know, if this is a programming language, and anybody who knows more about programming is, feel free to correct me about how common these are, because I think that's the key thing, is like how common of an understanding of programming languages they are. But I don't think you can make this case. Like Lua, sure, sounds maybe more namey, but the devs very clearly wanted them to be named after programming languages. So maybe the point is that it's funny that fairies have programming language names that aren't namey at all, right? That could be the joke. So if you have a name Alfie, are you really gonna get the connection? You know? Hey, Shia, thank you for the $5. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is I don't think you get to make that call. Like another example is Royal Minister was called Auk. In Japanese, changed this awkward name to Oak. But it's okay if you haven't heard of them, but I'm pretty sure isn't Oak is not isn't Oak like an old name for Java? That's what I've heard. Yeah, Oak's the predecessor to Java. XAML is a pretty common programming language. Alpha is really uncommon. So it's okay if it's really uncommon, but I don't think that like Awk to Oak, I don't think you could do that, because also, yeah, like look at this. Any resemblance to real or fictional professors is purely coincidental. They know that everyone is going to think of Professor Oak from Pokemon. They know that. So this deliberately sabotages the programming language joke for a reference to something else. So it's like you're saying, oh, we're changing it to Oak, it's another programming language. And so now when we show off the demo at conventions, people lovingly refer to him as the professor. But that wasn't the point. So they're outright saying that they changed it for a meme reason. Literally admitting that they changed it just because they wanted to make a meme reference. When they could have had Professor Ock as, maybe people would think, oh, is that like Oak or something? And they'd be confused. But then other people could say, no, that's actually this old programming language. It's kind of cool, right? So, but you're not going to get that now. Like Alfie and Oak are not going to come to mind as like, oh, that's an old name for Java. I don't think people are going to make that connection. So the point here would have been to maintain the connections to programming languages. And I don't think you can make that. I don't think you could do that. It goes against what they stated before, right? All the way at the top where he said, oh, my philosophy is shines brightest when it's hidden in the shadows. But right here, you're telling us outright that it stands out. Oh, the text under Alf references Alf too? Oh, okay. Yeah, the character? Oh, okay. So then the character even fits with that? Oh, they're referencing that Alf. I don't like that. So then we get to this, which I think is a really huge overplay. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have played Japanese RPGs, and you have the kind of naming convention. No, yeah, that was the actual reason, was changing it to Professor Oak. They literally said that, oh, that's fun, like it's a fun little reference, and they'll go back to this throughout the article saying, oh, because this game makes a lot of references to other games, it's okay if we make up our own references to games because it fits with the theme. But the only time then that you want to be substituting references is when the reference just doesn't work at all in English. Like it's just incomprehensible, or it's a joke that just cannot possibly land in English. So then we get to this next one. Again, like the way this is written, just clamshells and tummy pats. Can we talk about things in a little more serious manner? Like you can have fun, but chock-a-block with generic NPCs. But so you can probably guess how WorkXWork named its 6 interchangeable Yeah, yes, we know. Like, this is such a midwit thing. Like, I hate to be that guy, but if you have to be the one to use, yes, we know that this means otters. You used a thesaurus. Congratulations. Great. Do you feel better now? It doesn't. No one cares. Like, no one cares. But look at this. Look at this reasoning. Otter A, Otter B, Otter C, Otter D, Otter E, and you guessed it, Otter F. It stuck out to Dirk as a gamey distraction long overdue for a glow up. Now, let's like break this down. What is the premise of this game? Like, fundamentally, what is the premise of this game? It's supposed to be a theme park based around a lot of fun references to old games, right? So you are in a theme park, you're leading heroes like a tour guide through an RPG, right? That's the joke. So if you have a bunch of these otter guys and like their literal names are Otter B, Otter C, like those are their names. That's funny. It's like they work at a theme park, but they still have RPG naming conventions. That's funny. That's the joke. The joke is that they use the A, B, C, D, E, F. Like, that is literally the point. So if you're saying it's a gamey distraction, that's the point. It's supposed to stand out as a gamey distraction. You are working at an RPG simulator for, like, people to come by and play hero at. So of course you have Otter A, Otter B, Otter C, Otter D, Otter E, and F. It's like Grunt 1. Yeah. Yeah. That's the joke. So like Dirk found himself wondering, what's Otter B's story anyway? Who is Otter E under the... He decided that NPCs are people too, and by golly, he'd name them as such. Why do you get to do that? Why do you get to decide that that's acceptable? Like, that's not his decision to make in the slightest. So Otter Abe, Otter Bob, Otter Cam, Otter Dan, Otter Ed, like, the joke's gone. You ruined the joke. Now we don't know anything about this. You just get to decide that you're going to name them. Cool. Why? Like, he decided. Why did he decide? You don't get to decide. It's completely arbitrary. You don't get to decide that. And then, look at this. It's just a few strings of code. They're telling this it's like a funny story. Like, it's, oh, we did this thing, and then it came back to bite us in the ass. When intrepid tester pointed out that Dirk's glow-up was more of a blow-up. These 6 NPCs had to fill the role of soldiers in one scene, schoolgirls in the next, so giving them fixed male names caused more attention to the gaminess. A trope. So, like, you can see the joke is gone. They're NPCs that fill in roles. They're like generic dudes who are just like playing a bunch of characters. That's the joke. So the gaminess was the point. So why did you do this? And this got all the way to the QA phase. All the way. So instead of saying like, oh, that was wrong, let's just revert it, even though it should never have been changed to begin with. Like, why are you trying to avert that? Maybe that was the point. Thankfully, fellow XC localization editor Rob heroically helped Dirk devise a naming scheme that subverted the Otter A through F trope. Why did that trope need subverting? That trope was the point. Now their nondescript NPCs are titled Otter Alt, Otter Backup, Otter Copy, Otter Double, Otter Extra, and Otter Fill-In. This is even more distracting. Now you're wondering what the hell is going on with it. And then we roll up. That wasn't very name-like. His name was Xaml, but that wasn't very name-like. But otter alt, otter backup, otter copy, otter extra, otter fill in, these are name like. So why would you do this? It's insane because this article was released as like a, hey, check out this cool localization process, but all it does is show you like, wow, this is really insular. They just went off and did their own thing, and they didn't have any concern about the actual mechanics of the game, or they think they do, but they're just wrong. They're just there's there's no excuse. There's no way you could do, like, if you tried to explain this to the people who are buying the game, they would never accept this. People would not accept this. Like, seriously, big thanks to our QA tester. We'd start so many fires without you. It's like they're aware that they're causing issues. They know that they're causing problems, but they're doing it anyway because it's quirky and fun. But the point of this is not to be quirky and fun. The game is quirky and fun, so you're trying to make sure that the game shines. Right? Well, but that's the thing, Gorgat, is like that is the curated audience, who is the people who are left remaining who like that style. So it's a good exercise in logic, right? So some people will say, oh, but these games are popular, like people really like that. But we only know that about the people who are left who play them. How many people have seen XC's localizations and gotten completely turned off from them and decided, I'm not going to deal, I don't like this weird, quirky stuff, I don't want that, right? Like, we don't know how many people are not playing these games because they think that they're weird, right? There's a big, like, for Valkyria Chronicles, for instance, there are so many reviews of Valkyria Chronicles online that are like, I really didn't like that. I couldn't get into the story. It's so, I don't like this at all, right? Yeah, like Doc said, most people will not be aware that this is an XC thing and just think this is how Japanese games are. That's the issue. Which is way worse. Like, that's the thing, is like, when we were going through Valkyria Chronicles, if you can look up online, like, do some searches for Valkyria Chronicles reviews, and you will find reviews that say the story is really like too quirky. It's the dialogue is awkward, but they're always talking about the English, and they assume it's just the game. I won't share the link to it. You can find it yourself. I have to be careful about, brigading or anything like that. Like, I don't want to give these people shit for this. We're just breaking down the actual issues. Let me be 100% clear. I don't think anybody should, like, go attack these people or give them shit or anything like that, right? No, and I mean this genuinely. Like, I don't think that will help anything. I think it is much, much more important. And it's not just for YouTube rules. Like, I think it is much, much more important to be objective and be as clear as possible. Like, I disagree with the way this Dirk guy has done these localizations, but I'm not just going to say, oh, it's Dirk, fuck that guy, what a jackass, anything he touches is shit. Because, Lori in this has done some decent job, some decent stuff. There's translations that I don't disagree with, but I don't give people the benefit of the doubt either way, right? Yeah, I'm just showcasing the article. This isn't like an attack on anybody, right? So there's some interesting things, right? It's like, and I really don't know what this is talking about here. Like, got colorful class characters, blah, 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 Southern California. I don't know what they're talking about. I really don't know what this mascot, he shall not be named, naturally bled into this line by line. Like, I really don't know what he's talking about. Is it supposed to be like Disneyland or something? I don't know. But so, like, look at this one. お客様と思えぬのみなり。アルバイト希望の方ですね. It's like, oh, you don't, man, you really don't look like a customer. This is almost like an insult. Like, it's almost like the way you're dressed. Like, you really don't look like a customer. You must be somebody looking for a part-time job or looking for a job. And this, but they changed it to, excuse me, this area is for cast members only. Oh, you're no guest. Are you the new temp? That's weird. It should be like, well, you don't look like a customer. Oh, there's no way you're a customer. What, are you looking for a job? Like, it's supposed to be, this to me should be a little more abrasive. Oh, Disneyland is in Southern California. Okay. But this one is interesting. Like, stafu versus okyakusama, customer, with English buzzwords like cast member and guest. That's actually not bad in terms of what you would want to do, like, for the staff, right? I think that in most cases, like, cast member is not bad, because that is kind of how those places work. Like, those, theme parks and things like that kind of do refer to people as cast members, and that captures the stafu, loan word katakana, not too bad. I could go either way on it, but it's not bad. It's not bad. Cast members using status effects. So, like, another one here. ここからはモンスターも個性的になりますよ。What is that? 状態異常を持つスタッフが、what is that? 目だらけをし。That I always forget that. It's like I forget how to read this, but it's like tons or a bunch there as far as you can see, tons around you. I always forget the name, how to read that. Mejiroshi, something like that. But got a bunch of cast members using status effects. Monsters get really tricky. It's not bad. I'm not sure if I would go with tricky for koseiteki, which is kind of like unique. One way or the other. It's not bad. Like I'm saying, I'm not here to like rip every single last bit of this apart. Some of these are okay. Got a bunch of staff in there who can use status altering moves. Mejiroshi, that's it. Thank you, Dak. Or thank you, Dunny Arts. Whenever somebody gives me a reading, I just assume it's Dak. Sorry, dude. That's my bad. I just go like, oh, somebody told me what it was. It's Dak. But thank you, Dunny Arts. But then this, it's like, can we really say this? You didn't know this time either? Yeah, it's one of those that's like, every once in a while, like, I'm not perfect. Here's a great example. I know what this means, but Japanese, man, if you don't know the readings, this is white press in terms of like the actual kanji. But the meaning is like, there's tons of them. Yo, thanks, Dak, but I didn't do anything. Right? Now, some of this, right, of course, in-game verbiage often varies based on context. A manager managing a temp will stick closer to the script than two coworkers chatting by the water cooler, but our aim is to emulate the sort of jargon you might overhear at any real-world resort. It's this last bit that I take issue with. Right? This part is right. The context will change, like the way that they're talking will change, but the aim shouldn't be to emulate the sort of jargon you might overhear at any real-world resort, because what if that's not really what they're thinking? What if they were thinking, oh, this person is talking like they don't work at a resort, or there's more interesting things going on? The aim should be to faithfully recreate the Japanese as it's displayed. Like, here's a great example of that. Now, some people I've heard too, because I checked with this, that there might be text box issues here in terms of like formatting, but this doesn't work. So, experience points, level up by accumulating a cryptocurrency. I'm not sure if this is a cryptocurrency. Maybe it is. If anybody's played the game and they actually say or in Japanese, and say it's a cryptocurrency, maybe it is. I don't know, but to me it just looks like a regular coin, so maybe it could just be coins. So this is moncoin, fine. Type, furniture, kagu, yeah. インテリアとして作られたモンコインの what is this? 貨物 so furniture as a stand but a Moncoin stand it doesn't say only for use as interior decoration so this Japanese is just wrong yeah I think it's just a coin but then this did you know Moncoin costs more to make than it's worth like yeah you get items you could put up as decoration in your house which is why they call it furniture yeah but so this says oh it's a mon coin it's a stand or like a piece of furniture made to look like a mon coin this doesn't tell you what it is at all it just says it's furniture but it doesn't but the description is non sequitur this mon coin costs more to make than it's worth but this says it's a mon coin made to be used as furniture for interior decorating. Like, I don't see how you can show these two side by side and be like, yeah, that's the same. Like, this is a reasonable. Like, I really struggle to understand how you could look at these two things and say, yeah, that communicates the same amount of information. The joke is that it's it's like a dollar throw pillow, right? That's the joke. It's like you're buying a throw pillow that is literally like a $20 bill. There you go. That's the joke. So why would you change it to some completely made up joke? They don't even try to explain this. Like, they don't even attempt to give a justification for this. There's no attempt at saying, oh, this is what we're doing here. It's not even a joke. It's just a description. Yeah, as we delve deeper into the text, we found ways to take this joke and run with it by turning straightforward descriptions such as Monsterzukan, yeah, Monster Encyclopedia, and Bataru Monsterhang, Battle Monster Team, into Mondex and Monstar Team, respectively. Why? It's like Mondex I can almost understand. Monster Encyclopedia, whatever. Yeah, but they're very clearly trying to go with like a Pokemon reference. But that's not what they're doing here. Like, that's not what the devs intended. Monsterzuka and Battle Monster Team. Like, well, you could even go Monster Battle Team. One way or the other. Yo, what up, Hot Cold Man? So it's like, why would you... Mompedia, yeah, something like that. I can understand that. But it's like... The issue here is that this is funny because it's Zamuru. Oh, but that reads like I feel like that reads as a name, Zamuru Senpai. But Battle Monster ha no meeting ga hajimeru. Like, it's time for the Battle Monster meeting. But now this doesn't read as the same kind of joke. The Monstar Team, that reads like it's a proper noun. But this isn't a proper noun. This is like, okay, we're having a team meeting or a meeting for all the battle monsters. That's their job, is to be a battle monster, right? So we're gonna have a meet. Like, look, there's these guys. They're the monsters, but they work there. It's like that's his job. He has like a 9 to 5. Like, this guy goes home to his family. He gets like a paycheck to be a battle monster. So when you change that, now it's, okay, we're going to have like all right, everybody, gather up, Battle Monster Team meeting. We're starting the Battle Monster Team meeting. Come on, everybody. Right? But now it's like the Monstar Team meeting is now in session. It misses the kind of blasé joke here. Also, I'll notice that they just left out the senpai thing. Like he's obviously the you could have even gone with manager. It's a bit much, but senpai he's obviously somebody who's a little more in charge. Yeah, YouTube and notifying people about the stream. Great. For Legend Heroes requested to be Dark Lord. In-game lore draws for video games sort of reflect that tongue-in-cheek meta humor. Like, consistently in the English spots, even down to the menu headers. But that's true. It's like, it's so weird. There's this insane disconnect between if I was doing this, senpai, does senpai mean boss? Yes and no. Japanese work environments function a little bit differently than Western ones, in that many of them are literally just based on seniority alone. So, like, when did you join the company? If you've been at the company longer than somebody else, even if their job description isn't necessarily bucho or, chief would actually work. It wouldn't be too bad for chief, honestly. But if you join a company, it doesn't matter if your job description is the same as somebody else. If somebody's been there for 2 years longer than you, they would call you senpai. If it's a real traditional style Japanese place, they're not really your boss, but they might as well be. It's a little complicated. But leaving that out kind of, it misses, it sounds like he's just some guy, but he's obviously got a little bit of seniority. It's tough. That one's tough. I don't really begrudge them for that. It's tough. So like this one, Monster Zukan. 今まで出会ったモンスターのことをいろいろ書いてある図鑑だよ. This encyclopedia has everything you need to know about the monsters you met so far. Totally fine. No problem. 勇者様情報。担当する勇者様の情報を調べちゃう。あんなこともこんなことまで。So this is a little playful. I don't like juicy deets here. It's and they've changed it to character sheets. But I don't think you can make that reference. I don't think that's valid to change it to character sheets. Like that would be confusing to me. That would be confusing to me. If it was like character sheets as opposed to, I'm just pulling up as opposed to just like the actual stuff. It's odd to change it to that. I would be confused. And then, what is this? ポチオ情報。ポチオのこといろいろメモっておいたよ。自分のこともちゃんとしてないと。I was going to say しておかないと because, yeah, well, it's just a Japanese thing. 自分のことをちゃんとしてないと。ね。But, so this is kind of like, the fairy is a little bit like, I don't think they call it that. Yeah, there's crows outside and the cats are staring at them. Welcome to Japan. The crows go nuts. But the fairy is being a little cheeky. Like, she's like, あんなこともこんなことも. But that's not really the same as like juicy deets. It should be like, we've got information on all the characters or all the heroes you've guided so far. This, that, and everything else is more like, I would go with like this, that, and everything else. Because it's like, あんなこともこんなことも. あんなこと and こんなこと are like, man, there's a whole grammatical form with あれそれこれ. It's like kind of leaving it up to the imagination. And yeah, juicy deets is just, it's a characterization that I don't think is valid here. It should be like everything you could want to know and more, or this, that, and everything else. It's kind of, it's cheeky, but it's not like juicy deets. And then this one, like information is right. Like but it's also I took. She's saying like I oita yo is like she took tons of memos. Like she's writing down information about Pochio. And it's like because you need to really know yourself better. Like you have to like really keep track of yourself. But I don't like this know thyself and all. Gotta know thyself and all. I don't think that's a reference you can make here. You know, I just think tonally it doesn't work. It should be more like gotta keep real good hold on yourself, or you gotta stay on top of your own info, something like that. And then this is where the article gets really, really messed up. Choices for voices. Human-ish characters like Lua and Otterman prove to be particularly fertile fields for some prime time punnery. Really? You do you see any pun? Hey, people who speak Japanese in my chat, do you see any puns here? You see anything? Anything that could resemble a pun? And notice this is Otter Senpai. Yama o taoste, ikimaiten jan. It's like, whoa, are you crazy? あいつマジなんだよな. There's no puns here. Other than these aren't puns. This is a way of speaking. He's like super gruff. Like, ikimaiten jan. It's like, whoa, he's going crazy. Like, you talking nonsense. That's nuts. あいつマジなんだよな. Like, whoa, he's legit. Like, that's crazy. 日本語が話せない。話せないよね. He's really after and even like their given of the Japanese is wrong. He's really after the demon lord like he says, because he sure seems like it. That's not right. This is, whoa, that's crazy. You're gonna take out the demon lord? Whoa, that guy's nuts. It's like, あいつマジなんだよな. Like, that's crazy. As in, there might be context before that changed things a little bit, but as in, is he legit gunning for the Dark Lord? Because he sure as shell seems that way. It would, 話せない or わからない would be better. 日本語がわからない would be better for I don't understand Japanese. But paradoxically, if you understand that, then you understand some Japanese, so you wouldn't be able to say it as much. But where, and now it's Otter Man. So what happened? What happened to your naming scheme? Now you're calling him Otter Man? But this is Dakko Senpai. Get it, Shell, because he's an otter. Ha, that's funny. That sure is funny. すっげえその場ですぐ食べられちゃう。食べられるんじゃん. Like, this guy uses John. Like, this is his speech quirk. マジじゃん. He's like a dude bro. その場ですぐ食べられるんじゃん. すっげえ. Like, this guy's a dude bro. I like him. Whoa, that's crazy. I eat them all there. I'd eat them all right now. Something like that, right? 日本語食べられません. But the generic, but it's still not Otter Man, it's Otter Senpai. It's Senpai here, not man. So this is like, oh, whoa, that's awesome, or awesome. I'd eat those. I'd eat them right away, or I'd eat them right there, then and there, something like that. Yeah, he is a different one, but it doesn't follow the naming scheme, right? He's definitely a different otter. But if they've already established that these otters have this weird naming scheme, right? Where it's like otter, copy otter, extra, all that. But then they break it for this other otter. It doesn't fit anymore. And then look, well, hot diggity clam. I'd chow down on those lickety split. You sure about that? Remember right at the start, of the article. My editing philosophy is simple. Localization shines brightest when it's hidden in the shot. Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? Like, bro, how can you write that with a straight face? あ、出た。何これ? Like, this is the next one for like the fairy, right? So, punny expressions and quirky turns of phrase. But the joke is that the fairy is talking like, yo, what the hell? Like, oh, what is that? Oh, something came out. What is that? Right? Like, that's the joke. She's a fairy. Like, this in Japanese is like, if you were going to have like a proper fairy character, right? It would be like, demashita, nan desu ka kore? Like that kind of like, oh, what is this? Something came out, but it's deta. Deta is like super blunt, like super blunt. Nani kore? What the hell is this? And what did they? Holy panpipes! What the fey is that stuff? What? And I'd like to reiterate again, they put this in an article as an example. They chose these. They're highlighting these. This isn't me going through Valkyria Chronicles and finding random stuff to bitch about. They literally went and highlighted these as things that they are proud of. That's what's insane about this. Like, when I was first shown this article, I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. Like, this will be kind of bad. But this is what they're highlighting. That's crazy. That's actually insane. This is their best work. They're proud of this. Like, and here's where the real crux of the issue comes in, right? It's like, along with the wordplay, it's wordplay. It's wordplay. Work X work is rife with pop culture references. That may be true. Like, that may be true. And I'm sure there are pop culture references to, like, old school RPGs and things like that. I'm sure that's true. Right? But this is the, how do I describe this? It's the subtle assumption that you're just correct, like your framing is correct. It's wordplay. This is not equivalent to this. This is not equivalent to this. So when you say it's wordplay, you are ascribing your wordplay to the game rather than yourself. So they are saying the game has this wordplay. This is the game. It's the authoritarian nature of saying this is what the game is saying, right? But that's not what the game is saying. So, manga memes, you name it, we have it, blah, blah, blah. Get creative, because while some of the references could easily hop through the localization radar, other could not. Now, this is... Yeah, and like the otter A, B, C, D are references that they scrubbed, so it doesn't even work. Now, this one is I'm not sure with. 死んでしまうと何のことじゃ? I'm not familiar with Dragon Quest, so somebody can tell me if this is the actual... I'm sure that's the localized line. But I don't know what the original line is. So I'm sure this is a famous quote from Dragon Quest. I don't doubt that they're lying, or I'm not saying that they're lying here, but I'm not gonna necessarily agree with this is how that Dragon Quest, like, this is like a whole different game. But this is true. So like total face value, right? Like total face value. You can't go back and retranslate Dragon Quest, right? This is one where I would be like, unfortunately, we would have to do this because it's too late now. You can't take back the past. This is one that I'd be like, wow, this really sucks. But then again, maybe this, I don't want to get ahead of myself and say that this line is bad because I don't actually know. I won't make the claim that this Dragon Quest line is bad. But if this is a reference to this Dragon Quest line, then it should be like this, right? It should take the line from the Dragon Quest translation and then be equivalent. I'm not sure about this ghost du jour when it says ghost soup. I don't know. These ones are like kind of straightforward, right? But then, so like they start in one place and they're like, okay, this is kind of, this is our framework, right? We try to make sure that the references stay intact. So this is a reference, and then we use the same reference. Good. That's right. You should be doing it like that. You should be making sure that the reference stay correct, right?
Speaking of how things should be done,
Yo, what up, Dan?
Ping your brother to say, hey, you want to come in and talk about this article with me 5 minutes after you start streaming with no
I remembered. It's 7 a.m. Leave me alone. It's 7 a.m. Leave me alone. You're never up now.
I was out running errands, and
Well, I wasn't planning on it. Dan's very quiet. Okay. Yeah, and that's the other thing is now I have to boost your audio.
Yeah, I see a pig. I was out running errands, and I see a pig going like, hey, man, you want to come on the stream and talk about this article with me? I'm like, I'm a fucking hour away from home.
Well, you could have just gotten on your cell phone and,
I'm not going
Is he louder now?
I'm not going, oh, yeah, hold on, bro. Let me just, like, pull up the article on my phone while I'm driving and
Yeah.
get in the call.
Yeah. Just do that.
Honestly, that's, like, probably the least egregious thing that people are doing in California, so.
Thank you for the resub, Pika. 7 months, Jesus. So you move on to the next one. 愛らしい生き方が巻きで人気のペーストの生命体。他のゲームでいうスライムのような存在。本人もゲーム like they refer to the slime as 本人 like 本人もゲームのマスコット的なポジションを狙っていて本当は未来の、体内で、成長された oh man how do you what is that it's like acidic that's not acidic is it Mira. Oh, what is it? で、制御されたことはイメージ悪くなるので、トップシークレット。ちょっと癖がある匂いがする。Okay. Yeah. What is that? Corrosive, right? Yeah. I know it's corrosive. I just don't know how to say it. Hakko. Yeah, hakko. Yeah. So
Man,
it's
I was kind of like grinning reading that in the Japanese, and I look over at the English.
I haven't looked at the English yet. I
love the punmanship, bro. The punmanship is so great.
But so it's like, it's a lovable meat paste. It looks a little bit like a slime from some other game, but the slime himself is aiming for a type of mascot position. He's actually made from like the insides of a mummy, but because of that, if anybody found that out, it would make him look bad. So it's top secret, and it's got a bit of a funky smell, right? Bit of a funky smell. I don't know if I would say corpse-like smell. Was that kusei no aru nioi ga suru? That's not corpsey. Like even this is wrong. And even the JP doesn't give the full thing. A lovable blob of meat paste whose long cherished dream is to become as popular as a certain cute slimy mascot from another RPG, but don't tell anyone they're made from mummy guts. They're worried that people won't like them if words get out. They have a kind of corpsey stink.
The top secret. So the comedy hits here are top secret.
Yeah, top secret.
Like, and the
bit of a funky smell.
Corpsey is not.
It's not corpsey. That's like it's laying it on way too thick. It's chotto kusei no aru nioi. Kusei no aru is like a little. It's got a little special, a funky kind of smell.
And
it's a
imeji ga waruku naru.
Yeah, imeji ga waruku naru.
Like you would say like that would hurt. You would say like that would hurt its image, or you even say like that might hurt its brand.
Yeah, brand would be good there. That would be funny. It's like
Right.
is
If
a
word got out
lovable.
that it was made from the insides of a mummy, that would do a real number on its brand. So
Yeah,
that's
it's
top
like
secret.
so that's top secret. So let's look at a lovable blob of meat stuff whose lifelong dream is to become as popular as a certain cute slimy mascot from another RPG. It's huh?
But they're worried people won't like them if word gets out they're made of mummy guts and
It
smell kind of corpsey.
it's
It's
not that they're worried. It's like my brand will be hurt. Like they'll hurt my brand if that gets out.
yeah, in the Japanese, it's not like oh people won't like me. It's they're treating this meat paste slime like it's an actor or something
Yeah, like
who's
it
worried about
like
not getting gigs.
the word here is honnin. Honnin is like it's you won't use this for a slime. This is like himself. Like he's aiming for a mascot like position, even though he's a blob of meat paste made from a mummy.
Right, right. That's the whole bit is, and so that the
He's it's
joke
not
is
his dream. It's like he's aiming to be a real popular.
he's
Yeah, he
gonna
is an
make
actor. He's gonna make it. He's gonna be a real popular uh, mascot
slime.
character. He's a slime. He's got it. He's gonna get his
But
own
I mean,
spin-off series. Yeah,
right, like if people knew that he was made from mummy meat, that would be a massive scandal, be all over the news.
yeah. It would hurt his brand image. So it's top secret. He has a bit of a funky smell.
Yeah, like
Bit of a particular smell even.
they didn't keep the tone, which was that, it was supposed to keep this actor like,
Yeah,
borderline business
yeah. It's like
vibe to it.
businessy. It's supposed to be like it's
Whereas
the
the
work thing again.
whereas the slime, the one in the English is just it seems like it's too normal. It
Yeah, it's just way
doesn't
too
really
normal,
maintain it doesn't maintain the theming of the game.
and it does say delicious and weak to fire. I like that.
Oh yeah.
That's funny. Um,
Why is it
this this I have no idea about. Yeah, delicious, oishi. That's funny. Yeah. The other is like I want to be popular just in a generic sense, but this is like I'm aiming for that top spot as a super popular mascot, which is funny. I like that.
Yeah, it's the joke works so much better in the Japanese because I
Yeah.
don't know, the people writing it are funny.
Uh, I don't know about this line because I again
They don't
such
show
a
you the
I
Japanese.
assume this is some sort of reference to something.
Well, but
But
also, I would like to point out the next paragraph is there were other instances where the text and translation naturally lent itself to a fun reference. Our team at Xseed refrains from rewriting content unless there's a good reason, but if you're gonna make
I
pop
don't know
culture
about
and
that.
RPG homages, Heroland is the game to do it. There isn't a good reason. What do you mean a good reason?
Not only that, but then the one that they highlight just doesn't make any sense. So the pig in the original is named Hanako, which is like they literally tell you it's like Daisy or Lily. Like it's literally just like the most generic girl name possible, right? It's just like that's a girl's name, right?
There's a thing
How
about it
is
being about
large?
like nose, kind
Yeah,
of, maybe, but the name
nah, nah.
the
Hanako. That's
it's
one of
funnier.
those midwit things. Actually, I'm
Yeah,
gonna be real with you.
that's
The
not
Hana
actually
Hana
the
Hana
joke.
thing is not something that people in Japanese think about.
That's not the
Um,
joke here at all. Like,
so Hana and Hana is nose and flower, but I'm telling you straight up, no one ever makes that mistake or connection. Almost never heard
and
puns
people don't.
made with flower versus nose in
How
Japanese. It
many
just
times
doesn't
in
happen.
Japanese do people refer to pigs by nose jokes?
Yeah, it's not.
No, the joke here is that it's a pig, but it's named Hanako.
Yeah, it's like naming a dog Jeff. Yeah, it's not something people talk. It's just normal. But so the joke here is that it's a big old
Super
pig
feminine name.
with a really girly name. So the joke would be Daisy or Lily. Like, here's the
Yeah.
pig, Daisy. Perfect. No problems. That would have been fine. But then Dirk thought on the snout. So Lardna.
Lardna.
How
Don't
does
you
that?
also
Petunia would work.
rem-
Yeah.
remember punmanship? How is that if you're gonna like bro, if you're gonna come out and say like I'm really fucking good at puns, here look
Yeah.
at this Lardna? I
Yeah.
just I
Right?
your pun card is revoked. You couldn't think of any like female name that you could work a, lard slash big ol' fat joke into.
Oh, below the meat paste example, what? Are winks and nods to these Japanese RPG classics? That one? I mean, so the thing is, it's weird because every single part of this, right, is like they start out and say, look, there's all these pop culture references, and then they give an example. Oh yeah, that's fair, right? Like this is fair. This is a fair reference. Yeah. That's fair. No problem, sir. And then it gets a little worse, and they're like, well, this is obviously a reference to a slime. It even says so. Like it even says in Hoka no game at the slime no yona sonzai, right? Hoka no game is very clearly going like, wink, this it's a reference to slimes. We
Yeah.
know.
The issue
But
is
but then you go a little further and it's like, oh, so that's fine. So I'm just gonna say it's Lardna.
wait, yeah, somebody Tuner just said Lardina. That's a better
Yeah,
joke.
that would be better.
Bro, you get the punmanship badge. It's like
Yeah.
world's worst Boy Scout badge.
Certain when translate porky I don't understand this. This one maybe somebody can tell me more about, like Oshiri Pen Pen, which is normally taunt.
It's that's an Earthbound reference.
It's I've never played Earthbound, so I'm not familiar. But spankety spankety spankety. I mean, it's not the worst.
Yep.
I would have gone with just spank spank. I think that's better because it fits like the timing. Like
Yeah.
Oshiri Pen Pen is spank spank, right? Oshiri Pen Pen spank spank, something like that. I think 3 is overdoing it, right?
But yeah, the statement that they like the Japanese has a bunch of pop culture references and stuff, so they're taking the ball and rolling with it. The problem is that if you're doing the localization properly, you want there to be an equal amount of references and jokes and gags. If you take
Yeah,
a game that is
yeah,
like reasonably paced out jokes and you make it so that oh they've been making a bunch of jokes everywhere, so we're gonna put a joke into every fucking line.
yeah.
Suddenly
It's like
the
there
pacing
are
doesn't work.
some joke. It's what we saw in Valkyrie Chronicles every single time. It's like there are some jokes sometimes. So they just said, "Oh, there's some jokes sometimes." So that means it's okay to put jokes in every line.
Yeah, they
This
don't seem to understand the concept of moderation or of pacing or
or
writing.
like common fucking sense.
Michael, you can't expect common sense out of a dude who refers to himself as like a punsmith or whatever.
Yeah.
That's
So
that's
there's
that ship has sailed.
it's over. Like stat boosting comics, I doubt this. They don't even show you the Japanese because I doubt this is such a meta thing to do. It's manga. It's such a meta thing to do.
I
There's no
despise
way.
when people do this, when people lampshade hang the fact that you're playing a game that's translated from Japanese
Yeah.
and then they add in like
But
weeb culture bullshit. I
but even
absolutely
then,
fucking despise.
like, let's go back. My editing philosophy is simple. Localization shines brightest when it's hidden in the shadow. What part of this is hidden in the
No,
shadows?
Michael, you misunderstand the line. He's saying that localization is best when it's hidden in the shadows, which is why this whole article is him saying, "Man, I'm really bad at my job. Somebody please give me somebody give me some career advice here. This is not working out."
That's obviously not the case because
Really?
they kept getting hired.
You could have fooled me.
So Some of our title references will be easily recognizable to the average anime aficionado. Again, with the pointless alliteration. He glows in the dark is what he means. True.
I we were actually talking about this on the Final Fantasy XIV stream before, but it's like I ran into a situation where I accidentally threw in some alliteration into a line. I'm like, nope, you should probably change that. You want to avoid pointless alliteration because it makes things sound too like cutesy and ooh fun and cloying and annoying. But these dudes are just like, yeah, let's add that in everywhere.
So look at these. They don't show you the original screenshots. They just give you the original text. But kamaboko, I don't know what that is. I don't recognize that. It's probably a Naruto reference, but it's just supposed to be ninja comic. But think about like the logic of this.
Oh, it's because they're doing it's instead of Narutomaki, it's Kamaboko because that's
Oh,
another
that's
like,
fuck
thing.
off. Is that what that is? It's like
Yeah,
a
probably.
it's one of those where it's like
Obnoxious.
referencing a related concept.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, Tiger
just
Ball X.
Tiger
Yeah, yeah.
Ball X instead. So
Dragon Ball Z, right?
instead of yeah, this is another example where the Japanese is being general and genuine here,
Yeah.
where they're throwing in they're saying like, oh, this is a martial arts comic. This is a magical girl comic, something like that. And they might make a little reference to it in the text, but they
Yeah,
aren't
like
leaving
this
shit
one.
hanging by making up fake ass names.
But not
Which
only that, like the fun here is also you can insert your own because there are other comics, there are other manga about ninjas, right? So if you see what ninja comic, then you could think, oh, that's like Naruto. I like Naruto, or it could be some other one that you like. You can insert like pretty soldiers or whatever. I'm not like transform into magical girl and battle evil by moonlight. I doubt that's the actual line there. I really doubt that's the line. But by having them generic, it means whoever's playing it can insert their own comic. It's like, oh, I found a ninja comic. I found a magical girl comic. These are the ones that I like. But now you're forced to have these be Dragon Ball Z. This one is what is it? Gido Keisatsu comic. That's probably a reference to mobile police. That's probably, but it's kept like
Oh, and then they changed one. They said esoteric emperor comic. Originally a shout out to the 1985 manga Kushaku. Oh, yeah, Kushaku. We chose to connect this title to another more recent series so it could be better understood. So they just changed the reference instead of keeping in like the
yeah.
reference the Japanese writers put in. Just
Well, yeah,
because
we can't
oh, I
actually
didn't like
check.
that.
That's the thing is, like I said, with this article, it's very odd because sometimes they show you the original and sometimes they don't, and you just have to take their word on it.
Yeah, which that's not like suspicious in the slightest.
This like what manager comic. It's probably a reference to that really famous Salaryman comic. I forget the name of. What is it like?
Yeah, yeah.
Kacho something. It's like Kacho something. I forget. But like the salary, like by making them non-generic, you remove the point. They're supposed to be generic, or have not been officially released in English. It's like, even if they haven't been officially released in English, I don't think it's really your call. I don't think you get to just decide. In both cases, giving these comics parodic titles helped us bridge a cultural gap for our audience without having to choose between keeping a reference too obscure to understand or removing the significance behind its inclusion.
I
But
despise A so fucking much because who the hell are you to you don't know whether or
yeah,
not it's too obscure for people to
that's the one.
understand. You don't understand half of the references that are being made yourself. You're making up references that are coming out of thin air. You don't understand basic jokes and you're assuming that they're references yourself. You don't know whether or not the audience is actually going to understand it. Having
Not
this
only
smug
that, but by removing that, now somebody who played the game and might have understood that reference no longer gets it. So you're inherently making a trade-off, right? Maybe one of these was meant to be a super like deep cut reference that only some people would get. But that's what the dev wanted. They wanted to include one that was like really obscure so that people who got it and they had a real fun time. But you're like, well, it's too obscure, we can't include that. Like, who are you to decide that it's too obscure?
Yeah, like that's the issue is when you take this position of saying like, "Oh, people aren't going to understand this," but you're just saying that yourself. You don't fucking know.
Yeah, even if it's never gotten an English release, that's really not up to you to decide that you should go with something else. Like, magical localization moments in which we manage to meet the game's audience and source culture halfway. I That's not really the point.
That's not. Yeah, that's not the point.
The point isn't to meet the culture halfway. The point is to accommodate the culture to the greatest extent possible. Like, if you can't get there, then yeah, sometimes you're going to have to make some changes to something that it's just not going to work. I think there's an example of that
Well,
in the monster area.
well, a lot of examples of that are also, like idioms,
Yeah, idioms are good.
like in Final Fantasy 14 when we were doing the translation, somebody used the idiom about like, growing your neck out in
Yeah,
anticipation, right?
yeah,
You can't you have to translate that to a different idiom, right?
yeah,
If somebody says like, oh, I don't, like somebody said that and then like the person who said it was a tiny little fish man, and so the joke was made like, I don't know how that like, do you even have like a neck that could grow?
yeah.
Like that joke doesn't work in the English whatsoever. You have to do a different idiom. The expression makes zero sense. But that's not what's being done here. They're just kind of assuming, oh, nobody else would get this reference. We have to make it easier for people.
What's a term for it where one changes something to make it more relatable to a wider audience? It depends on what you're doing.
But I don't
Like,
even think that that's more relatable to a wider audience because
yeah,
who the hell is gonna get Kamaboko for fucking Naruto?
yeah, that's like inherently requires that you understand ramen more than like even most people don't even know what Naruto is. Like, I'm not trying to flex here, right? Like, Naruto is like the fish cake thing.
Yeah, this just reads like bragging. Like they're just saying like, "Oh, I know so much more about uh, otaku culture. You might not know it, but otaku means nerd than you, and so I need to dumb it down for you guys."
Yeah, it's like it's such a navel gazing kind of thing to do. Um, Moving on. So this one is crazy. This one I was like actually shocked at how bad this is. I don't know. I don't read a
Crime?
lot of. Yeah, and Gorgod raises a good point. Like, mobile police, if you named it mobile police comic, that would have given a lot of people the reference immediately. But changing it to patrol work actually makes it a lot harder to understand.
Well, and it also just makes the references less fun. Like
Yeah.
the changing it to a stupid little pun or like a fake title name
So
makes it
it's a
cheesy.
Naruto. Okay, let me explain how this is a Naruto reference. And again, I
Well, no,
genuinely don't
the
care
shadow
about
clone
this sort of
thing.
thing. Oh, the shadow clone thing? No, the he's talking about
We're
the
all there.
kamaboko. So,
No, no, no. He says, "Ain't shadow clones a generic ability among fantastical
oh,
shinobi settings? How is that even a Naruto reference?" It's
that's true, but we don't know if the shadow clone thing is actually real or not.
yeah, yeah. That's they
The
think that
only
they
thing we're
put it
given
up.
is ninja comic. The actual description here might not be right at all. We don't know because they've been shown, and I'll show you right here. There's just massive changes to text completely. So
Oh god,
here's
dude,
one.
the slime.
This one is like, I don't know how
This
you
one,
got here.
this one is them not understanding jokes
Yeah, they
that
just missed the joke.
they just missed
So
the joke entirely, and it's actually really embarrassing that they didn't notice that during this whole article.
okay,
Nobody apparently realized that this was just a fucking joke.
yeah, it's just a joke. It's not even a reference. They're like so reference brained that they thought it
The
had to be a
idea of a
reference.
joke that is not a reference to something does not exist in their brain. They would go to a fucking comedy show in New York and just sit there stone faced.
So like,
They
look
would
at
have
this
no idea what's going on.
green tea slug. I don't know why they say DX when it's just deluxe. It's like a deluxe green tea slug. Deluxe. You could even just say deluxe green tea slug, and it's a stuffed animal. And this is 例えるならバケツで飲む抹茶。抹茶海、what is it? 海うつ I can't say it. 海うつデラックスの剥製. It's a stuffed green tea slug.
Deluxe.
Deluxe. I can't speak. I hate katakana more than anything else in the world. But so it's if I had to describe it, it's like green tea you drink out of a bucket. That's it.
Gross.
That's the joke. That's
real
the joke.
Gross.
It's just real. It's like if I had to describe it,
Like
it's
the
like
joke
green
is
tea
that,
you drink out of a bucket.
It looks really cute, and they're saying this thing is actually completely fucking disgusting.
Yeah, it's just gross. And so like drinking tea out of a bucket.
You imagine like you go out to a restaurant, you say, "I'll have the green tea, please," and they just slam a rusty bucket full of green tea right in front of you.
Yeah.
Like, drink up. There you go. Take it or leave it.
And this like drinking tea out of a bucket, it struck Lori as odd that they'd word it that way.
It's
but
odd
it reminded her of those Ayataka green
joke.
tea commercials from a few years ago where they always started with, for example, and then the narrator later would proceed to tell you when a great time to drink their tea was while playing. It's like, did you really have to go this deep?
Do you understand what the concept of a joke is? It's wording something odd.
Yeah, like, that's the joke. Whether this was the writer's intention or not, she couldn't say for sure, but with so many Japanese pop culture references, it was fair game.
It wasn't it's not a reference, it's just a fucking joke.
But this is crazy, like, she wanted to adjust it to something that was A, still relevant to green tea and suggested the consumption thereof, equally eye-catching with similar shock value to drinking tea from a bucket.
It's just the bucket joke. And here's the thing, even if this was a reference to a commercial, all you have to do is be able to look past yourself and think about it from the perspective of a player. Like,
yeah.
You just have to be able to imagine that you're a player, you don't know this reference, does the joke still work?
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
Yeah. Like, if you're a player, you're playing the game, you pick up the game, you find, oh, it's like a green tea slug, look at this cute little guy. And then I'm going to go read about him in the Monster Encyclopedia. I open the Monster Encyclopedia. What does this say about him? Oh, if I had to describe it, it's like green tea you drink out of a bucket.
Uh-huh.
That's funny. It's just funny. What are you missing there? Like,
you don't need
so
to know
the chances are here, there's two chances, right? That drinking green tea out of a bucket is a reference that you didn't get, but you've preserved it so people who aren't you, who might know the reference, will still get it, right? So that's good. And it's just kind of a funny thing. It's just a joke. So now you've preserved that too. Instead, they change it to sit your butt down and drink your gosh darn tea, which doesn't have anything to do. Number one, it doesn't talk about green tea. How is that relevant to green tea?
Like, it doesn't make sense. It's not funny.
There's no joke. It's just a non sequitur.
No, it's the joke is that they're yelling. They're being like, this is some shit that you would see at like an anime convention redubbing panel where nobody wants to swear.
It doesn't make sense. Where did you get this from? How is this? We agreed on this. How? Why?
Our system text doesn't have a potty mouth. Like, if you use the phrase potty mouth, you are not.
And I'm assuming this must be a reference to something. There's no way it's not a reference to something. Right. It's got to be a reference to something. I'm sure there's some. I'm sure if I Google, okay, I'm gonna Google it right now.
Really supposed to be.
No, I'm gonna Google it right now. Sit your butt down and drink your gosh darn tea.
I would say it's probably going.
Final Fantasy VII. It's a Final Fantasy VII reference.
It's a reference
Sid.
to a poorly localized line from Sid.
Yeah. Yep. Sid saying apparently sit your ass down in that chair and drink your goddamn tea.
So
So it's fake.
so it's not only fake, it's also just like infantile.
Yes. So it's not even
You know,
close.
fake and infantile is probably two very good words to describe these people as well.
Now look at this. I'm not going to read this. Is very long. Suffice to say, yes, this is like when it gets above 50 degrees, 10 degrees Celsius, she becomes inebriated.
Snow Beauty.
Yeah, a snow beauty, right?
The
Despite being,
fucking melting snowman.
yeah, like her crown is a melting snowman. I like that. She lived in, she goes for what is it from island hops, the yeah, when it gets too hot in the underworld she goes above ground. When it gets too hot above ground she goes back to the underworld. So she's like a traveling bird, like a snowbird. That's fair, you to say. What is it? Tororu grasse. I don't. Yeah, she's like, yeah. It's like snowbird.
I had a
Well, look at this.
I had a legitimate reading the English one. I had a fight or flight response.
Uh huh. You know, that's. I'm sure that's correct. But they also they also
This
kind of
doesn't
remove.
this
They
isn't even a ref like this doesn't even make sense. They're just saying the line from Frozen.
Yeah, you just said the line from Frozen,
It doesn't even
but
make
they
sense.
leave out the fact that when it gets too hot in the underworld, she goes to the surface. When it gets too hot on the surface, she goes back to the underworld.
No,
She
they
goes to
just
Earth.
didn't do it at all. They just wanted to make a Frozen reference, and they couldn't even like you could have. I can't believe like if you wanted to make a Frozen reference, you could do about 1,000 times better than this.
Yeah,
You shouldn't have wanted to make a Frozen reference. Why did you want
I
to make a Frozen
understand
reference?
what that means.
Like why would you want to make a Frozen reference here? But even if we assumed that for some unknown reason you got hit with the same gamma radiation that made that Mario up warp happen, and just a zero got
God, I
flipped
wish
to a
I would
one in
got
your
that.
fucking brain, and you went, you know what, I gotta put a Frozen reference in here, nothing's gonna stop me. You could have done about 1,000 times better than this. You could have gone with a make a snowman thing, any line that would, but instead of just saying cold never bothered her anyway. You could have done a better Frozen reference.
Yeah, but they didn't. What? It's just insane. Actually insane. Yeah, cute and weak to lightning. Marvel garbage. Yeah, basically. And what is this? Toretate tororu.
It's a debt
Let's.
collector.
Yeah. Karikin no kate ni. What is this? Karikin tori ni. Yeah, he became a debt collector because he's in debt. Norai no chikare de tori ni shimatteru no de noruma o hatasu made. Yeah, until he can pay back his debt, and he won't allow himself to die until he's paid back his debt.
Yeah, and then he's forgotten why he even
Yeah, he
started
doesn't.
this in the first place.
He doesn't remember why he started this in the first place. He can only think about repaying his debt. He originally, what is it? Moto wa kazoku no tame ni what is it? Futan. How do you? That's futan. It's like seotta. Seotta karikin datta ga mohaya nani ni tsukatta ka wa wasurete shimatta. He originally took on the debt to help his family, but now he's completely forgotten about what he used it for. Yeah, you can't even take those loans. But this is wrong. Like the Japanese is wrong.
Oh yeah, their literal translation of the Japanese is
Yeah, it's wrong to help his family. Maybe was that it? No, it's just he can't remember what it was for anymore. When you don't pay your debt, this troll's what you get. He's been cursed into collections. That's all he can think about. all he will ever do until he hits his quota. No matter how often he tries to get out, he always gets sucked back. That's no.
That's just dumb.
It's just stupid, and it also leaves
The
out that it's
joke,
kind of tragic. His
yeah,
story
the
is a little
joke
bit.
in the Japanese is that this like massive troll dude who looks like a stock villain actually has this ridiculously tragic backstory. And I'm
Yeah,
just imagining this guy with like a picture of his family, right?
yeah. He's a troll. He's a troll toll collector, but he's been like cursed with some horrific curse to become a toll collector, and now he can never be free until he can't even die until he's paid back his
No,
debt.
but once
He's
he pays back the debt, what is he even going to do? He doesn't even remember why
Yeah, he doesn't
was in
even.
debt
I
in the
don't even
first
remember
place.
what I'm doing this for anymore. It was for my family, but he can't remember. He's forgotten it, and it's like he's just a funny little troll-looking guy.
Yeah,
But
it's
then
like
this is
he looks like the generic, like big, dumb, evil monster thing. But then you're imagining this guy pushing like a little troll girl
yeah,
who
he's
looks just like him on like a swing or something. That's
yeah, and
the joke.
he's got his little like
He got fired from
framed
his
picture of
troll
his
job.
family. Yeah, he got fired from the troll factory. Like there's this
Honey, we
whole
gotta go. I gotta take it. I know it's gonna be bad, but we've gotta do it. And then he
yeah
smash cut 10 years later. None shall pass.
yeah he's just like a
Pay
troll collector.
up.
And they also left off. It's like norma o hatasu made wa shinu koto mo yurusarenai. Like they won't let him die until he's paid back his debt. Our AAA memes are quite ethical and 蓋した事故で what is this from the 21st century a time what is it time tunnel いいね作り出された
I mean, it's literally a
yeah
goddamn machine.
yeah what is this 戦争にwhat this yeah 肉体的にも but they leave out this 肉体的にも経済的にも確実に息の根を止めに来るマシンとして完成された like yeah it's a time vortex it's slipped from the future into the past it's a gotcha machine that will choke but this is the joke here 肉体的にも経済的にも right 経済的にも it's like both like literally choke the light out of you literally and financially that's not bad like choke the light out of you literally and financially is not bad
The thing is that their supposed literal translation already has a localization in it. Then
yeah it
and it's
already
just
has a
better
localization but then they changed it to this modern scientists let their text slip through a time vortex when the ancient acrylic civilization found it. They souped up this vending machine into a killing machine. Now it uses surprise mechanics to turn its victims into gachapons. None of that is here.
I'm gonna turn this frying pan into a drying pan. This vending machine into a killing machine.
It's no.
And then they go, ooh, surprise mechanic. Get it? Because that's like a reference to that thing that somebody said.
I accidentally changed. I accidentally changed scenes for a second on accident. I was clicking through. But yeah, it's just not.
Like, also, you probably, from another perspective here, Japan is very, 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 very incredibly hesitant to ever do anything at someone else's expense, especially within the same industry.
Yeah.
Putting a dig at another game company in a Japanese game is ridiculous. Do not fucking do that.
Yeah.
Like, they would freak the fuck out if they said, wait, you put in like an insult at what was this? Like, it was Activision, right?
Surprise mechanics? I'm not sure what that's a reference to.
It was EA. They're not loot boxes,
that is an EA, yeah.
Mechanics. They're like, wait, you put a insult directed at EA in our game? What are you fucking doing? Like, Japan does not do that.
Yeah. Not only that, but it's a gotcha machine, and they changed it to gotcha machine, which is just wrong. It's a gotcha, not gotcha. You
Like,
can't.
why?
You not only that, but if you don't know what like a gotcha machine is, you wouldn't like. Imagine you're a kid playing this, right?
Yeah, positive references are vague, and negative references really don't exist unless they're like there have been specific digs between friendly rival companies,
Yeah, like
right? Or
Kamiya and Yoko Taro will talk shit about each other, but they're kind of weird, but
yeah,
they're
and,
great.
and they're having a good time with it. They wouldn't like put in a direct reference to a scandal or
Yeah,
something
no.
like that.
But
That's
not only
not
that,
a
but
thing
like
you do.
imagine you're a kid or a young teenager playing this game and you don't know what a gotcha machine is, right? You would not be able to look at this and understand what they're talking about. They're
Yeah,
saying it's a vending machine, but it's also a gotcha machine. So you might just think, "Oh, gotcha, like I gotcha." Right? That's not the reference. But if you leave it as gotcha, then you could look up, "Oh, this is what a gotcha pone is." And you might actually learn something. Then we get this. It's a tower of slimes. Look at them. I love these guys. Right? Like, no. I'm sure like the question marks are reactions to the stream.
Song
Yeah, they became a tower. Like, tower ni natte tojo shita. And it's like the brother, the older brother and younger brother. Uh, what's it you can say? He's like in test school, prep. Because he's like busy with preparing for entrance exams, he doesn't often participate. And what is it? 弟が落ちかきがないのでちゃんとタワーになれたのは奇跡だと言ってもいい。うっかりしてると生まれたばかりの妹がこれに加わろうとする。So it's like
That's
it's a
amazing.
miracle. Yeah, it's a miracle that the tower of like these the what is this like? I don't know,
Well,
brother,
yeah, it's the three brothers.
siblings. It's siblings because it's imoto,
Yeah,
right?
siblings. Well,
Because
they're
there's
saying that presently it's Song Kyodai, and then they're going to add in
oh, that's right. You're right. You're
the
right.
sister.
Ukkari.
So currently it's three brothers.
Yeah. Three. So it's like the slime brother tower,
Yeah, but the
and
the recurring joke through all of these, if you would have noticed,
yeah,
is they're adding really real things to all of these monster dialogues, like very mundane, real life concepts. They're treating
yeah,
these people as though they are real people and not like little monsters and stuff.
yeah. It's like
Like
they're
the
they're
debt
they're
collector guy is a debt collector. The the green or the slime like wants to is worried about things hurting their brand. All
yeah.
of these monsters are given descriptions that describe them as like, yeah, they're humanizing.
They're
They're
humanized, but they're
treating
like
them like they're
overly verbose to the point of like being funny. Like you wouldn't expect like Goombas or whatever in Mario RPG to have like this complicated backstory about why there's a tower of shy guys, right? So
yeah,
it's
it's
like
like
he can't stay still. This it's a miracle that they formed this tower at
the,
all.
the oldest brother is busy with
He's
trade
college,
school.
yeah.
He's never at home anymore.
He almost never gets to joins up for the tower, and then the younger brothers he can't stay still, so it's a miracle that they're a tower at all. And then they'd like to one day add their newborn baby sister to the tower too. Like
Yeah, they're
that's
treating this
cool.
slime tower as though it's like a real family reunion thing. It's describing it 100% seriously. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like a
the joke is
real
coming from the meta where it's this is a tower of slimes. Why
yeah
are
yeah
we
yeah. That
treating this like
Goomba's
it's
going through an ugly divorce, and his wife is taking the kids, something like that.
right? Like it's that sort of thing. Or
Hey, wouldn't it be funny if instead of that we just made a reference to my brother, and me? Are you sure people are going to get that? Everyone listens to that podcast, right? Right? Everyone listens
yeah,
to that podcast, right? Oh, we
in the
wanted to
little
make sure
slug.
that the references land.
And also, it's the three little slugs, which also completely removes the joke because the joke in
It's
the
a slug
Japanese is
tower.
that like one of the other slugs is going to like college,
Yeah, it's a slug brother tower.
and they're really gonna miss their slug brother when he goes off to college.
Yes, Tad, this is an article they posted boasting about how good their translation is. Yes. So this is a reference to a podcast called My Brother, and Me, which I thought we were trying to make sure that all these references landed, right? Featuring your eldest bro, your middleest bro, and your sweet baby 30 under 30 monster luminary. This makes sense. This makes sense.
Yeah, this does not keep the joke. The joke is that these descriptions are supposed to be ridiculously straightforward, and the joke is that they're monsters.
I like that they said cultural equivalent.
Yeah,
What's
also the last line says it's a miracle they all got together, but it removed any context for why it'd be difficult for them to get together.
yeah? That it doesn't make sense.
Whereas the joke there is
It's like all these slugs have their own lives that they're
they all
living,
got their own lives and problems, and it's all very complicated, actually.
but it's a miracle that they got together to make this slug tower. Now this one I have no idea about Golgi bodies from outer space. This might be a reference to something, but this is like literally. I don't know what a Golgi body is. Maybe somebody can tell me.
No, that's a reference. It is a thing.
Okay, because
That
I
is
had no
a
idea.
plural.
I'm not above telling you when I'm completely out of my depth and I have no idea what this is. So this is one where I'd be like, "Help! I don't know what this is."
The joke here then is that you've got all of these
Oh, it's a cell organelle. Okay, cool.
you've got all of these like fantastical creatures, and then you just have the mitochondria.
Well, it's a Golgi body.
Right, but I'm saying like
It's a
that's in the
Golgi body
joke.
that came from space, from in between. What is this? Mars and Saturn. Coroni? Yeah, you normally can't see them because they're so small, but in space they become gigantic, even planet-sized. There's even planet-sized ones. They came, what is it, millions of years ago, and they're responsible for creating life on Earth.
But yeah, it's the same sort of joke where you've got all of these monsters and stuff, and then you just have a real ass cell organelle.
Yeah, and then it's whoever said mitochondria is power. Did you guys mitochondria the powerhouse of the cell, guys? Isn't that like a fucking Reddit thing?
Referenced mitochondria there just to explain what the general concept of the joke is. You'd never put that in the fucking thing.
Yeah, but and their ancestors helped
Also,
create life
that
on Earth
doesn't
eons
make
ago.
sense. It also just doesn't make sense from a biology standpoint.
More people should be talking about endoplasmic rectilium. The funny thing is, if this had been endoplasmic rectilium, I would have known what it was. But for whatever reason, I didn't remember Golgi body.
Yeah,
But
like you just keep this as it is. That's the joke is that it's incomprehensible.
yeah, it's just it's a
It's just,
Golgi
why the
body that
fuck
came
is
from
there
space. They have colonies. They have colonies in between Mars and Jupiter. They're normally so small you can't see them, but in space they become gigantic, even planet size. They came to Earth, what, millions of years ago and helped create life. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous, nonsensical thing. That's just the joke. You don't need to add in, like, adding in a little whoever said mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell probably never met a Golgi body.
I'm skipping ahead a little bit more, but look at how insane this is. Like, they're fully aware that they're changing shit. Like, they're fully aware. Like, you can't do that. This is Cursed Doll. This is just Noroi no Ningyo. 愛され捨てられ、人間に海を持つようになった人形。ただ、物覚えは悪い方なので、思い出す大半は自分で作り上げた妄想で、しかも翌日になるとそのストーリーも変わってしまう。 内容も that is a four kanji character. Oh my god, the four kanji. What is that? Guchakucha? Is that? I think that's mechakucha or guchakucha, something like that. It's like all over the place. Yeah. Kotomuge? Kotomuge? Is that kotomuge? Maybe I said it wrong. たまに元の持ち主と一緒に there we go. Let me see, because four kanji compounds, boys. You can see my kanji weakness here. Kotomuke. Kotomuke.
Kotomuke.
It's, yeah, as I thought, it's like, I know arasu. I know mu, and what the last one is todomeru. To think, kangaeru. I know all of those kanji, but kotomuke is not something I would have guessed. I thought it might have been reading for like gucha gucha, but it's like absurd, nonsensical, ridiculous. たまに元の持ち主と一緒に他の what's that? 惑星? Yeah, まで言ったなんて言い出して人間を困らせる. So it's like a loved and thrown away a doll that holds a grudge against humans, but it's really bad at remembering things. So half of what it remembers is made up fantasies, and then the next day its story will completely change. The contents of the story are all over the place and ridiculous, even going so far as saying it went to like another planet with its previous owner. It causes lots of problems for people.
Again, if you notice, either they're so bad at translation or they are so utterly like deceptive here.
But look at this.
The Japanese that they give, their claimed translation of that line is completely wrong.
Yeah, let me.
I
zoomed in so that you can see it, but like.
Every girl's favorite, parentheses, and most thrown away, plaything is out for revenge. Loves messing with people, but her memory is pretty bad, so she makes up the majority of her stories. If you ask her to tell the same outrageous tale the next day, it might be better, or worse, than before. If that was your translation, I would have already said, wow, that's a really fucking bad translation.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really bad translation. What they're claiming the Japanese is incredibly wrong. Where's the whole thing about, like, half of the actual line isn't there in their supposed literal translation.
And then the given translation is every girl's favorite and most thrown away plaything. But it doesn't even mention girls.
Yeah.
It's just a doll. It's like loved and thrown away. She loves messing with mortals, so now they're implying that it's immortal. But her memory's pretty bad. It's the story of her death. Why is she dead? That's not a thing. Changes every time. This makes reselling her via online auction sites a real horror. Where does that come from?
Where does any of this come from?
Is that like a reference to something?
Is that an Annabelle reference?
I have no idea. Yeah, they changed it to haunted. It's not haunted, it's cursed. But look at this. Oh no, how much else did you change? When a vague references to play quest names were a serious culprit of this, I don't know what this is. I don't know what they're talking about. A wise to me. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that's a reference to.
Probably
some sort of insular localization thing. But this one is emblematic of the issue. Look, so these are, what is this? Romanesque, yeah, something like that. Adventure, continued again, finale. Like, that's the joke. Like, that's the joke. The joke is it's continued. Like, you've got this Romanesque continued again. Like, and then finale. It's like continued again, finale. It's just a little fun. Just a little fun. Just a little joke.
It's a little joke. That's enough to make you go, wait, we're still on this fucking quest?
Yeah. Of course.
That's the joke.
Now we've changed this to just a bunch of random references, like Record of the Lodos War. Like, are you really going to say that this is more understandable? This becomes unplay. If we didn't do this for whatever this was, romance, I really don't know what that is. Romance adventure is fine.
This is probably something within the actual game itself.
It's probably something within the game itself, yeah. Unplayable for the new target audience. You're telling me that romance adventure continued, or continued again, and then continued, or then finale, completed, like finale.
Yeah, like all you would need to do here is Romance Adventures continued, Romance Adventures continued, parentheses, continued.
Yeah, continued, parentheses, continued. That's the joke.
That's the joke. It's funny.
Yeah, it's clearly like continued, continued again, and then finale.
Like here, I'll even write that out in the chat real quick just to show that it looks funny.
Yeah, it's fun. It's just fun. But of course we
continued. Like you see that in the quest log, and that's funny.
Yeah, it's funny. It's just a little bit of fun. But
it's a good joke.
That was too hard. That was so you had to change it to a record of a.
They said that
but
it was
that's the joke. Is that it's repetitive. The joke is that it's repetitive.
Michael, they don't understand that drinking tea out of a bucket is a joke because it's inherently
these sub-quest names were a little repetitive. That's the joke. Literally, that is the joke.
And
that's
we
the
wanted
point.
to get creative and let players enjoy or groan at quest titles with allusions to anime, novels, and games that loosely tied in with the context of their scenes. Also, you shouldn't actually do that because then you're spoiling things about the scenes that aren't there in the Japanese version.
Yeah, so this is a Record of the Lodos War reference. I'm sure everyone's going to get that. Some dark something rising, dark night rising, but it's in a jungle? So I'm sure that has a lot to do with Batman. And
also the references
a Metal Gear Rising reference.
No, that's Peace Walker.
Oh, is that Peace Walker? Okay.
I think, yeah.
But then how does that make sense?
It doesn't.
These aren't even connected to each other. Like they're all just disparate references. Like Lodos War and Metal Gear Solid are not connected. So they don't even follow like the theme. Like if you were going to, and I don't think you should do this, but if you were going to do this, you should have done like all in the same theme, right? All of them should be the same game series. If you were going to make that reference, right? It should be like, Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of the Patriots, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, something like that, right? Metal Gear Rising, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, something like that, right?
Why would we do that? That doesn't.
I'm saying I would still be bitching about that. I would still be saying it's wrong, but this is even more wrong. Like this is beyond wrong. It doesn't even make sense internally. And then there's no way. Now you're going to say, but previously they had kamaboko, which they also didn't translate as a fish cake. So now you're saying this is chikuwa, but because we're too proud to localize this as fish cakes, maybe swallow your fucking pride, put your ego aside.
You're not impressive. Like, that's the thing. You're not impressive. Nobody is impressed that you know a basic amount of Japanese and can't write.
Yeah, you've never heard of chikuwa? Okay, cool, great. Fish cake. That's fine, you could just call it a fish cake. Or you could just leave it as chikuwa and then actually give whatever the actual title was, because there's no way that it's because we're too proud to localize this as fish cakes, especially when it's furniture. So it's probably like a fish cake throw pillow. So now you don't even know, is this an actual fish cake that is being used as furniture, or is it like a throw pillow? Who knows? All right, now we're at the conclusion.
Oh, this one.
Oh boy, the conclusion.
Michael, I want you to have. Can you put up the my grab a screenshot of my editing philosophy is simple. Localization shines brightest when it's hidden in the shadows, and just have that up on screen with the guy's fucking face.
Yeah, hold on. I can do that. I could do that.
Because I think that's important for this. They said they wanted it to feel like it was originally written in English, but now they're making jokes that directly reference the fact that it was originally written in another language. Yeah, they're dumb.
Can I not?
They're not too bright.
How do I? Okay, I think I have to save it. It's not letting me. I used to be able to drag and drop just straight into OBS as a picture.
It's the same thing as, you know, them saying we think localization is the best when it sticks to the shadows, and then they do the exact opposite of that.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's kind of bullshit. Let me pull this up on OBS now. Sometimes OBS will let you actually just straight up insert an image, like just by dragging it, but then sometimes it doesn't let you do that, and I don't know why. So now I have to go grab the source stuff. Whatever. Let me grab his dumb face. Then put him over here. You can chill out on that side, bro. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. But actually, like, if you're enjoying the stream, we're happy to have you. We're going to be doing Metaphor Refantizio Zero, or however you say it, probably next week, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, happy to have you guys
the
here.
Pumpkinhead thing is such a self-report.
It is
when
such
you get
a
to it.
Self-report.
No, the Pumpkinhead text is so great. It's so great because I can just imagine. I know exactly what happened.
Oh, actually, I should make this way bigger. Let me see if I can. There. Now it looks like shit.
Graphic design is my passion.
Graphic design is my passion. There you go. There you go. Now it looks like real shit. Let's get down to the conclusion, right? So we got all these. You're like, some of this is really bad.
The pumpkin one is real good. The pumpkin one is real
This
good.
is absolutely. Oh yeah, the pumpkin one. So there's one last one. So like, look at this pumpkin head boy. I like this pumpkin head, right? Now this isn't. They always do this where they start out with something that sounds reasonable, right? What's this? If you don't give him candy, he'll play a trick on you. You know, that kind of thing. Wagamama no obake. It's like a selfish ghost. It's the kind of, if you think about it, it's the kind of ghost that shows up if you don't pay your respects at like your ancestors' graves. It's like the same kind. It's doing the same thing. Right? They don't even translate this one.
Yeah, I mean, you could go with like a not bringing flowers to a grave.
Yeah, you could just go with not bringing flowers to a grave. So it's like, if you think about it, it's doing the same sort of. It's the same.
Walking through a graveyard at midnight. If you wanted to go with a similar sort of like graveyard curse reference, you know, for
yeah.
Because they're referencing a concept that exists in Japanese and doesn't exist in English.
And it says
there are ways you can make this work pretty easily.
It won't take treats that rot quickly, which is like a joke about it being a pumpkin.
Yeah.
And it's just like, if you think about it, it's the same kind of ghost that shows up if you don't pay your respects at your family's gravesite. But that could be like if you don't put flowers. It's doing the same kind of thing as a ghost that would show up if you didn't put flowers on a grave. That's fine. It's like fine.
Or someone wasn't given a proper burial, or
some proper burial that could work.
Right, like there is a cultural difference here where the whole idea of going and visiting a grave like over and over again as a formalized ritual thing is not really a thing in
it wouldn't really make sense if it was like, but we don't really visit like our ancestors' graves every year on Obon or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So this is a place where localization is called for, right? You need to make this make sense. Proper burial. Right. Yeah, proper burial.
If someone isn't given a proper burial.
And that works fine. It's the same cultural touch point. It has to do with graves. It has to do with ghosts. We can easily understand like a ghost that would show up. It's doing the same kind of thing as a ghost that would show up if you didn't give your relative a proper burial.
Or if
Makes total sense.
If someone wasn't given a proper burial.
Yeah, if someone wasn't given a proper burial. And then it prefers treats that don't go bad quickly. What are we analyzing today? Oh, psych it. So you've this
shit is garbage.
Now look at what they decided to say was an equivalent, and then we'll read their explanation for it, which is absolutely insane. Selfish ghosts that'll play tricks if you don't give them treats. Encountering them empty-handed ends up like a visit to your relative's house. You get yelled at for no reason and regret your life choices.
That's not how I remember visits to my relative's house going, because I wasn't a complete fucking moron.
Yeah. What about
They were
people who
usually
like?
pretty glad to see me.
What about people who have relatives that they like to visit, and
I think
they have a good time at their relative's house?
I think the no reason here is doing a lot of heavy lifting. I think they had many reasons.
I think you probably should regret your life choices.
I think you might have gotten yelled at as like, take off the fucking Naruto headband.
No, I'm a real translator. Did you know what kamaboko means?
We're
FYI,
here at
they
your
prefer treats to
grandfather's
lunch
funeral.
lives.
Take off the fucking Naruto headband.
So, as you'll look at this.
The main idea of the scene's text and intention largely remains intact.
Lori tried to change this to a more relatable example to Western players that still emphasize concepts of cursed and family. But that's not what was being emphasized here.
They just didn't get
It was about graves and cursing and death, not family. Does this have anything? Now they're like putting it all together, right? We're gonna put it all together. Now, I'm not gonna play this, but this is how insane this gets.
They've got all the text here for us, so we don't have to suffer through their garbage.
Mitsukettazo, Pumpkinhead doll. Now, I don't know if his name is Bad Otter Cop. I doubt it's Good Cop, Bad Cop.
Pumpkinhead doll.
Right? We found you, Pumpkinhead. Literal text. So it's translated text. I don't know about this. I don't know about this literal text box where you could make that claim. We've got. Look at how this goes. Look at how this goes off the rails. You can just see it. We've got you now, Pumpkinhead. You are under arrest. Remember this. Remember this, you're under arrest part, because this will become important later. So Lori does an okay job. We've got you now, Pumpkinhead. You didn't need to add this under you're under arrest. You didn't need to do that.
Edited text is a fucking reference.
Stop right there, criminal squash. You're under arrest.
I feel like this is the sort of thing that I would have written when I was.
Is that a lay epic Oblivion reference? Did he take an arrow to a knee?
I would have written that when I was fucking 12, and I would have thought.
Man,
I
wouldn't have
really
written
clever.
this when I was 8.
No, I'm gonna say, like, if I was 12, I would have been like, haha, I made a funny little pun. And then I would have looked back at it and I would have been, oh no, that's terrible.
Now look at this. This is the second Otter Cop. And this is the little, so you guys know like Tom Nook and his nephews, like that thing where they kind of repeat the last phrase, right? Where they say, by the night. I can't help it. Whenever somebody says by the night divine. Assault! Assault!
Oh, hello, Nerevar.
No, I was just really expecting an Argonian.
I see you've taken the form of a pumpkin this time.
Fuck. I love Dagoth memes. But, so this other Otter Cop just kind of repeats the last thing that the first Otter Cop says, which is more like a yeah, right?
Yeah.
So it's Mitsukettazo, Pumpkinhead though. Yeah!
Pumpkinhead though.
So he's a Pumpkinhead though. But in English, you could make the case for it. And I might do this, right? Like where he just says, yeah, we got you. Something like that. Because he's just kind of like, yeah, you tell him. Like, this is a thing that happens in Japanese a lot, where you repeat the last phrase, where he says, yeah, he's the hype man.
He's being a hype man.
He's the hype man. Pumpkinhead. Keep your vines where we can see them. Uh-huh.
Keep your vines where we can see them.
Uh-huh.
So, remember, localization shines brightest when it's hidden in the shadows. It's about smoothing over the seams in translation without adding linguistic wrinkles. Translated text, Pumpkinhead. Edited text, keep your vines where we can see them.
It
Hmm.
sure is shining.
Hmm.
Sure is shining. And so what? Nanda omae tachi wa?
Wait, who? Yeah, who are
Who
you?
are you guys? What's with you? I might have gone with what's with you
What's with
guys.
you? Yeah,
Yeah, nanda omae tachi wa,
what's with
right?
you?
What's with you guys? 俺たちは
And did we?
kabocha keisatsu da. We're the pumpkin police. Yeah. And then kabocha keisatsu da. Like, you see? Like, he's the hype man. Yeah, pumpkin police.
Wait, and then Lori actually.
And look, Lori did a really good job.
With the pumpkin police, that's us.
Yeah, like, this is really good.
That's
Like,
you could have just kept it like that instead of I that. Why do you always? They always have to use words like I.
where does this come
That
from?
we are.
That we are. Was he a fucking pirate now?
Is he a pirate all of a sudden? What's going on?
But notice how Lori did a good job. Like I respect Lori to some extent. Like I'm not sure like what all went on with like some of this translation stuff. But Lori, this is really good because she has correctly identified that kabocha keisatsu da is not really the same as just saying pumpkin police. Like we're the pumpkin police, and then repeating the line kabocha keisatsu da is like that's us. That works. Like that's good. I might have gone with something like that.
Overly simplistic response that shows
Yeah.
that the second one is just kind of there.
Yeah.
He's just
And then
there.
just like kabocha keisatsu. What pumpkin police? Like what are you talking
There's
about?
a
It's insane.
pumpkin police department.
Way
Dot.
yeah, way to make it really obvious. It's like, what do you
Lampshade
mean,
hanging.
the pumpkin police.
Way to ruin the joke.
So, この世界 what is it's like 1394年 in the Mediterranean Sea. Yeah. This is in this world it's the year
Oh, and
1394
then
in the Mediterranean
gave
Sea.
we gave
Why did
Lori
she-
credit, and then she said, "Say it, don't spray it, bud." Never mind.
Yeah,
I
but-
take
but I
everything
don't-
back.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is like I don't know what the conversations were like around all of this, right?
That's gourd damn right.
Damn.
Wait, so hold up. We say like sit your butt down and drink your gosh darn tea when we're referencing a Final Fantasy VII line, and we specifically said that our version doesn't have a potty mouth, but we're going to say gourd damn in the text here.
Yeah,
So we removed a swear from a previous reference, but then added in a swear here.
yeah,
Explain.
they can't. すなわち、アメリカ大陸性の下墓地には国民は存在しない。In other words, there's no American pumpkins here. There shouldn't be any American pumpkins here. Now this is really bad. And I'll explain why. Remember when we scrolled up here? You're under arrest. This one change will come back to bite this entire section in the ass later. Right? In other words, you're under arrest for anachronistic activity. American race pumpkins shouldn't exist here. Now, すなわちアメリカ大陸性のカボチャはここには存在しない. In other words, there's no American race pumpkins here. But I might have gone with that is to say, or basically, there shouldn't be any American pumpkins here. Right?
This is a
In
good
other words,
joke.
boyo, where does boyo come from? You're under arrest for anachronistic activity. New world pumpkins don't belong in the own world. Mm-hmm. But that's they're again lampshade hanging it. This is the joke, obviously, but they haven't really expanded on that, right? Right? Like it's the year 1394. And that means that American pumpkins shouldn't exist here or don't exist here, right?
And then you
Snowachi,
have
and they keep using Snowachi, right? So like Snowachi, which is like, in other words, お前は言ってならないの. This isn't not like you shouldn't be here. It's like you can't be allowed to exist. You can't be here. Right? It's not just like you shouldn't be here. It's you can't be here. So you're not allowed to be here. It's not bad. But get rid of the bud. But in other words, you can't be here.
And
but
you
then,
have the other otter cop repeat whatever you went with for Sinachi.
yeah, Sinachi. They both say
Yeah.
snawty. In other words, that's good.
In other words, you shouldn't be here.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
you're
So
not
they
allowed
should
to
both be
here.
saying in other words. But then you're essentially a century early to the Halloween party, jackass o'lantern. What that's
Again, we're
really
adding in swears that aren't there when we specifically said before that we weren't going to do that for the green tea slug thing.
Hey, remember when he said my editing philosophy is simple localization shines brightest when it's hidden in the shadows?
Also, a century early to the Halloween party.
14. I don't think it was like literally 1492, right? Not literally. Like it wouldn't have been literally 1492. But Halloween, yeah, definitely not. It doesn't even make sense.
That
Yeah,
doesn't.
and then
That doesn't
言っ
make
て笑わないっ
sense.
て、かぼちゃの話だろモンスターデモか It's like, but I'm not actually a pumpkin. Like I'm a monster. You can't be here, but I'm
like,
not a.
yeah,
you're
not
talking
allowed
about
to be here.
pumpkins. I'm a monster, right? It's like monsters too, right? Shouldn't be here. That's pumpkins. Monster? Do you mean monsters too?
Like, honestly, this Monster Demoka it's reasonable. It's entirely reasonable for that to be like, I'm a monster.
Yeah, I would go with like, you're talking about pumpkins. I'm a monster. Like I would rephrase it because monster demoka is like, but I'm a monster, right? It shouldn't be here. You're talking about pumpkins, right? Do monsters count too? I'm not, but you're talking about the gourds. I'm a monster. Remember? Would you still arrest me? Arrest me?
Why do they keep bringing up the word arrest? Why is the arrest
It's
being
never been they have never once brought up arrest. But I'm not actually a hibiscus. Hey, did you know that he's talking about that pumpkins are hibiscus vine? Did you know that?
Herbaceous vine? Yeah.
Did you know? Wow,
Sodium chloride.
mustelids.
Sodium chloride. That's what I
Yeah,
said.
this is
sodium
peak
chloride.
sodium chloride. This is like Jimmy
Sodium
Neutron tier fucking.
Would you pass the sodium chloride?
Actually, dude, it's called salt. That's what I said. Sodium chloride. So it looks that's not a crime, is it? And then like again the monster demo da, monster demo ka, monster demo da, right? Like it's like poetry. They rhyme. But
Could you please pass me that dehydrated fruit over there? Oh, do you mean black pepper? Yeah, that's what I said.
Did you know that peppercorns are actually a fruit? So then the other cop's like, yeah, monsters too. It was like, but I'm a monster, right? Monsters too. Yeah.
Monsters too.
You bet your pumpkin patoot we would. So this is, would you arrest me?
Pumpkiny patoot.
You're. Yeah, たまたまかぼちゃに似てるだけかもしれないのに. But this one I really like. It's not even just I just happen to resemble a pumpkin. They actually got the literal wrong. This is 似てるだけかもしれない。かもしれないのに.
You don't. Yeah, this is like.
I might just only look like
a pumpkin.
It's not just even though it's not. He's not just saying even though I just happen to look like a pumpkin. He's saying even if I might just resemble a pumpkin. You know that, right? Like I might just
know that. I might just look like a pumpkin.
Yeah, it's like he's not even saying I just happen to. It's I might. He's even saying himself, like himself. I might just resemble a pumpkin.
I might just happen to look like a pumpkin. What?
Even though I might just happen to look like a pumpkin, right? You've got the wrong gourd. How do you know I'm not some other kind of winter squash?
Shut up. Shut
But then look at this joke. Like, 名前までかぼちゃじゃないか. There's pumpkin in your name.
Yeah, that's like you got pumpkin in your damn name.
Like, that's great. I love it. Like,
if you were going to add in a swear here, I would actually like slightly fight for you've got pumpkin in your damn name.
Yeah, it's like you've got pumpkin in your name. Right? And then again, like the Janaika in the name, or like, yeah. This one I would almost go with like, you've got pumpkin in your damn name. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, like she gets the idea, like he sure does, partner, but it should be more like, yeah, tell him, or yeah, that's right. It's boy. Where does what the
Right there
fuck
in
does
the name,
boyo come from?
boyo.
What the fuck is boyo? I have only ever seen garbage translators. Poyo. Garbage translators use the word boyo.
These people live. These people grew up in very, very insular sub-communities on the internet, and all gained this ridiculously specific
Nerds.
vocabulary. They all talk the fucking same.
Yeah, it's kind of insane. 貨物は
All of the humor.
南北アメリカ大陸現世でヨーロッパもたらされたのは and then it's like the bad art cop just starts giving like a history lecture ヨーロッパへもたらされたのはコロンバスによるアメリカ大陸発見以降だ which is like holy shit.
This is great.
Yeah, it's like actually pumpkins are a product of the Americas, meaning that they weren't introduced until after Columbus took them from the continent. Like,
Yeah,
that's like
yeah, pumpkins are a product of the Americas, meaning they weren't introduced to Europe until after Columbus brought them back to the European continent.
yeah. So this is they weren't. I don't think you need the emphasis here, but otherwise this is good. Pumpkins are a product of the Americas, meaning they weren't introduced into Europe until after Columbus. They left out like the discovered Hakken Ikoda, America until after Columbus discovered America. I would say, but sailed the ocean blue. Isn't that funny?
I mean, they peaked in. A lot of people say, like, people peaked in middle school or in high school. These dudes peaked in, like, middle school or elementary school.
And then again with the Sunoachi. Sunoachi, 1492より前のヨーロッパにカポチがあるはずがないのだ. Yeah.
Also, now the other otter cop who has just been being a hype man is actually following up the history lesson, like he actually knows what's going on.
Yeah, look at him. He's mentioning 1492. 1490年より前のヨーロッパにはカボチャがあるはずがないのだ. Like there's no way there's no way pumpkins could be here before 1492. How about them pumpkins?
How about them pumpkins?
That's a fucking Goodwill Hunting reference.
How about them apples?
That's actually my least favorite scene in that whole movie. And I don't even like Goodwill Hunting, but that's specifically that one.
These
っていうかそれ知ってる時点で矛盾してるんだろ? Like, hey, wait a second. If it's the 1300s, how do you know about the future? It's literally what he's saying. He's like, hey, wait, hey, isn't knowing that in and of itself a paradox or like a contradiction or like anachronism's not bad here. It's not bad. That is technically like the correct uses of the term anachronism. Like it's something that exists in the wrong time period. But this is funny. It's like, hey, wait a second. I would have gone with, hey, wait a second. Isn't knowing that like anachronistic already?
Or like like a a paradox already in of itself.
Yeah, isn't that a paradox already? It's like その際この際多少の矛盾は仕方がない. It's like it's fine. It's like don't worry about it. It's not a big that's not a big deal. Literally this one is like I would have gone with don't worry about it. In these sorts of things, it's a little unavoidable. It's fine.
Yeah, it's like this is a line where you do have to actually like be funny.
Yeah, 多少の矛盾は仕方がない.
There's a lot of different ways.
It's fine. Can't help it sometimes. Something like that. But then he just changed all of that to save it for the judge. Why?
仕方がない.
仕方がない. Yeah.
That's what you do.
Yeah, them's the rules, not bad. It's a bit of an overreach, but can't help it. Or that's right. I literally just go with the hype man thing. Like, yeah, that's right. That's right. Tell them. Them's the rules. Yeah, だったら俺も見逃せよ. Like, okay, but if that's the case, then leave me alone.
Yeah,
like, what's the problem?
Like, if that's the case, like, why is like?
Well, no, it's like then what's the problem? Like, wait, if that's the case, then what's my problem?
Problem here.
Yeah, Yeah, but if you could do that, why can't I? Like, let me off the. Let me. He's not asking. Like, Minogaseo is like. I mean, I guess technically he is asking to be let off the hook, but like, let me go just this once. Yeah, zannen da so wa ikan. Unfortunately, we can't do that. Yeah, we can't do that. Uh-huh. So look at how insane this goes.
Not
Oh,
a
Thomas.
chance. It's the pumpkin patch for
So
you, and by patch I mean prison.
zannen no da ga so wa ikan. Not a chance. It's the pumpkin patch for you, and by patch I mean prison. Look how long that is. Look how fucking long that got. did was this? Do you really think that? Hold on. Let me jingle the sign again. Let me
And
jangle it.
no, I don't think that there's any sort of like political messaging here. I think they're just ridiculously unfunny.
Yeah, I think they're just very stupid. This is like way back in 2019 too.
Like they're just really
No,
un.
no, no, it gets worse. It gets worse for the joke too. Because look at this. Ikan no da. Yeah, no way. No, this is the. Look how much I have to scroll. This was the thumbnail. Like, holy shit, dude. Ikan no da. Yeah, not a chance. Right? Sorry, Boyo, but if we let you off the vine, then the potato heads would want a free pass and we'd have a real time crisis on our paws. We could do this the easy way or the hard way. Your choice, Pumpkinhead.
What? That's just not even funny.
It's not funny. It's verbose as fuck.
Also, I do love every time you get one of these fully rewritten lines, like where there's no Japanese for them to go off of. This is their raw, unfiltered writing ability.
Remember how
Like this is
there were a
their
couple
raw, unfiltered writing ability, and it's fucking terrible.
when
They
when
can't
they
write
said
for shit.
there was a interview recently that was like, oh, you have to be a really good writer to be a translator. You're sure proving it. You're really proving it. And then remember when people are like, but the text boxes there's issues with the text boxes. They have to make sure that everything fits. And well, let me count this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 characters.
If you include the exclamation point, 6 characters.
Yeah,
Let's do a character. I'll do a character count on this one.
it's a lot. It's a lot.
Do a character count
Was it
for
like 57? No, it's got to be like 60 or something, if not more.
207 characters.
So 207 divided by 6. 207 divided by 6. It's about 34 times as long.
Yup.
It's about 34 times as long. And it gets worse. Right? まあ、わかったよ。それで、俺はどうするつもり? Right? So look at this. Look at this. Why would he be asking どうするつもり? Which is like, what are you going to do with me?
Also, yeah, they're
俺を
literal.
どうす、俺を.
What
It's
do
not what am I
I do?
supposed to do.
What are
It's
you
what are
gonna-
you going to do with me?
So
right?
this is a fundamental error. Then it's 俺をどうするつもりだ. That's
Yeah,
what are you,
like,
so, what are you gonna do to me?
yeah, what are you going to do to me? But why would he be asking that if they said we're going to arrest him? It's like, well, okay, fine, I got it. So what are you going to do with me? Right? Yeah, 言いたかっただけだからもう満足. Like, we just wanted to tell you. Like, we just wanted to tell you that we're fine. That's all. We're all good now.
Yeah, we just wanted to tell you that. Yeah, that's good enough for us.
Yeah. But so this entire buildup, this whole thing, this big, long, great joke is killed because they decided to say you're under arrest.
Yeah, they never said that he's under arrest, the Japanese, so he's like,
Yeah.
oh god, what are they gonna do to me?
Yeah,
Oh, no,
he's like, oh, we found you,
shouldn't
Pumpkinhead.
be.
You shouldn't be here. It's like, oh, okay, fine. What are you going to do with me? Oh, nothing. Yeah, we just
no.
wanted to tell you.
We just wanted to make sure you knew.
Yeah, we just wanted you to know. Yeah,
Honestly, like saying, just wanted to make sure you knew.
yeah, we just wanted to make sure you knew.
Make sure you knew.
Yep, もう満足. Yep, we're fine. And then what? Where's this like you admit it like confession or whatever?
Well, they didn't understand the O there before, so of course they aren't going to
Yeah.
understand.
And then look how long this got.
You say it.
We're satisfied with your confession, boyo. Now run along and stay out of the 1300s. That
Not,
doesn't even.
he's gonna stay here. There's no consequences.
Yeah.
You're allowed to stay
Nan
here.
soria.
There are no consequences. You will be banned.
You will be banned. Nan
And then
soria.
the hell was that?
Yeah. What the hell was that? Like, what? Yeah. What the heck? Or what was that? He's like
Great
confused.
Pumpkin, talk about a trick and treat. I need me spice.
No, I need a me spice latte.
Shut up. Fucking Christ.
Yeah, so because they introduced that you're under arrest thing, it killed the entire joke. And need I remind you, this is not us going through a game. This is putting everything together. They're proud of this. This is like a prime example of how great localization can shine. And it's the worst shit I've ever seen. How could you write this whole thing and be like, yeah, that's good?
This is something that would happen if you were doing a live redub, like the Sonic thing, where you didn't
trying to
know
be
what
funny.
was going to happen at the end of the scene, and you were just like kind of guessing what was going on.
Yeah, the Japanese like, nanja soria. Nanja soria. Nanja soria.
How was that?
What was that? He's like, okay.
All
All right.
Any of this?
Yeah. It's like, we just wanted to tell you. Especially this because look how nervous he is. Like, まあ、わかったよ。それで、俺をどうするつもり?
It's like,
Oh, okay, I got it.
Got it.
So what are you gonna do with me?
what are you gonna do with me?
We just wanted to tell
I'm
you.
nothing.
Just wanted
And
to tell
they
you.
go into such excruciating detail.
Yeah, like all the detail with like the you
like,
can't be here. This is before Columbus discovered America. Damn it.
1994, you're not supposed to fucking be here.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. It's like genuinely fun.
Yeah, reading the Japanese text, this was genuinely funny. And
Yeah,
then
I
they
laughed.
pulled
Like I actually laughed. I was like,
all
that's
of the
great.
humor. They made it like 3 times as long and entirely unfunny. The whole thing about him being a pumpkin, the only joke with him being a pumpkin is the, like, import issue.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
only thing he mentioned being a
Not ever do they mention anything else about him being a pumpkin.
That's the
Other than
only
like
thing
you've
I'm
got
being-
pumpkin in your name, dude. Like, well, I might just look like a pumpkin. How do you know I actually am? It's like, dude, you've got pumpkin in
But
your name.
instead, if we look at the English squash, vines,
Vine,
gourd
Herbis-
jam,
winter
Halloween
squash,
party, jack-o'-lantern, herbaceous vine,
Vine.
pumpkiny patoot, winter squash, name
old world, new world pumpkins don't belong in the old world.
pumpkin patch, and by patch I mean prison, potato heads, pumpkin heads. Like, it's like they took the entire joke and just changed it into he is a pumpkin.
Isn't it funny if he said a bunch of pumpkin related things? Isn't that very
Spice
funny?
latte. Whereas the Japanese is the only pumpkin related joke is pumpkins are supposed to fucking be here. It's 1394.
Yeah. So I also like everyone in the office got to vote on a title for Heroland's limited edition. I don't think you should do that. I don't think you should do that.
Yeah, I don't think you should do that at all.
Yeah, this one is interesting. Like the name of the country in Japanese is Yuishioaru, which is like it's like prosperous land, Prospera-land or something like that. Prosperity land, or like country of wealth, country of something. I don't think noble is good here. I don't think that you can call an equivalent. Like this is a technical thing, but I don't think that just putting this in katakana makes it equivalent to like same pronunciation, different spelling. I don't think that's the same thing. It's more just like
Yeah, it's like this is also yeah, it's supposed to be prestigious. Noble doesn't work for that at all, actually.
And
It's,
no does it's not the same thing. Like that kind of no and this kind of no doesn't it doesn't even play into like the work aspect. Like it doesn't actually make sense.
yeah, they haven't understood any of the jokes in the game so far, seemingly.
Yeah, like Kingdom of Noble, I don't think that's
Doesn't
the joke is just that it's literally really fancy kingdom, like prestigious kingdom. It's like amazing kingdom. It's like the land of really awesome, something like that.
Yeah, I mean
The land of prestigious, whatever, something like that.
you would have to actually workshop it, but it's
Yeah,
not.
I'm not going to come up with it like here on the spot, but it's not that. I can tell you, it's not this. It's not this.
Gold Mecha Slug edition. We decided on Noble edition.
So they decided on the worst one.
Yeah, they decided on the worst one.
Any questions? Yeah, why? And this is from 2019.
Yeah, and why are these guys called like Lil Slug? We'll leave you an image of our mascot with attitude, Lil Slug. He's excited to meet you all and wants you to know you're squeaktacular. What?
I don't like it.
What?
I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like
What?
it. I don't like it.
Explain.
So there's a lot of the funny thing is a lot of these comments are like, "Wow, this is awful." Like, I'm not gonna go through these all of them, but like, some of the people are like, "Wow, some of these are really bad."
The original was like memorably weird, while Heroland sounds incredibly generic.
Yeah,
I would have never guessed JRPG Hero Amusement Park from that. It's another game with JRPG heroes, I guess, which is a shame because the
shame
Hero
because
Amusement Park is an amazing idea for a game, and I'm excited to play this.
maybe you could have on something like Disney, or you want to try pun in the Japanese, but grind instead of work. Yeah, grinding for XP, daily grind of the office. That's not a bad idea. I haven't actually read all of these, but I'm not opposed to that.
Another a comment from 2019. I still feel this article overall takes a threateningly liberal, whatever, let's just shove in some puns, lol, attitude towards things. What
Yeah,
is it with Americans and puns anyway? Why must everything be a pun or reference? You'll say,
yeah,
well, the original had them too, but you added more.
yeah, yeah. The mission names are too boring. Maybe that was the joke, how they're repetitive names. Yeah, yeah, he's right. I only skimmed the comments, but yeah,
Yeah,
he's right.
these are people are mostly just saying, wow, this is fucking awful.
This is just yeah.
Yeah, the final comment is just, this is a goddamn travesty, and there's no better word for it.
Wait, really? Where's
I'm
that?
exhausted just reading the screenshots and excerpts, so I can barely fathom how jam-packed with crappy puns and memes the full game must be.
Oof. Yeah, that guy's name is Tired of Localizers, which is oof.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Oh man. So yeah, that I like I said, I was linked to this article on Twitter recently, and I just kind of opened it and started skimming it, and then me and Dan were just talking about it in Discord for like an hour because holy shit, it just gets so bad. I just it, the crazy thing is this is the kind of breakdown that I would do. Like I would make this exact article if I was like making an argument against the game.
Yeah, like all of these.
These are the examples I would pick out as really egregious, and they've picked them out as really good. Like
It's the lack of self-awareness here is
it's
it's kind of
insane.
ridiculous.
How could you be so? Yeah, it's this huge self-report. It's a
Yeah,
massive
because
self-report.
the biggest thing that stands out is that they say over and over again, you know, oh, the best localizations are the ones that fit in seamlessly, and then they show off all of their localizations that don't fit in seamlessly whatsoever.
Literally, my editing philosophy is simple. Localization shines brightest when it's hidden in the shadows. It's about smoothing over the seams and translations without adding linguistic wrinkles. But if you've previously seen my criminally smooth edits highlighted on Legends of Localization, that link is dead, by the way, it doesn't go anywhere. My
Yeah.
affection for alliteration and penmanship should come as no surprise.
Yeah, criminally smooth is sorry, boyo, but if we let you off the vine, then the potato heads would want a free pass, and we'd have a real time crisis on our paws. That's smooth. That's a
Yeah,
well flowing sentence, isn't
I
it?
think if I was going to do some creative writing, that's the kind of thing that I would come up with.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
sure. For
like
sure, for sure.
I mean, I think if I was doing some creative writing after I had like a lobotomy or something,
Hey,
that might be
fettuccine broccoli. Thank you for the unidentified United. I don't know what that is. UYU 150. Thank you very much, dude.
what is that?
I don't know.
Uruguayan pesos.
Awesome. Uruguay. Huh. I learned something new. Thank you for the
Yeah.
pesos, my friend. Glad to have
Oh,
you
yeah.
here. Be sure to give a follow too.
That
And
is
all that
a
good stuff.
that is not a currency I was expecting to see in the chat whatsoever.
Yeah, I know. I've
Doesn't
been
that
seeing
seemed like I was making fun of Uruguay? I was
Yeah, no,
confused.
I've never seen the Uruguayan peso before. But and then like we barely even scratched on these titles, but like how can you be this unself-aware? Oh no, how much else did you change? Like they're having fun with it? Literally rewriting the rogues gallery? You shouldn't be rewriting. It should be like preserving.
Yeah, like they didn't get the jokes. Like with the otter A B C D E F
Yeah,
thing,
like going back to
they
that.
didn't get the joke. The joke is that it's A B C D E F. That it's just otters.
Yeah, there's just like a bunch of otters and they all get the A, B, C, D, E, F. But they're like, oh, that's boring. I don't like that. So we're going to name them A, Bob, Cam, Dan. Oh, that didn't work. What shit? That made it all the way to testing. And then they changed it to alt, backup, copy, double, extra for no reason.
You
For
know,
no reason.
they didn't get that the quest names being continued.
Finale. Like that was the joke. And it's sad because I don't think this game. You tell me if I'm wrong, but 2019, I don't think this game got a lot of traction. Right? I hadn't heard about it until I read this article.
Let's see what the reviews on Metacritic were. 65 on Metacritic. And let's compare that to what's the let's see what it's
Understand? Yeah, I know that line.
fun
The what is that? Yeah, Kiseki Trials localization. Oh man, the Kiseki Trials localization is crazy. Those ones are just absolutely destroyed. In fact, isn't that the one where they were like just admitted that they kind of threw out all the text and just rewrote it basically from whatever they wanted? I think that was Skies of Arcadia, right? Where they're just like, we don't like this. We're just gonna rewrite it.
I'm seeing if I can find like reviews on
I mean, if you just Heroland review on Metacritic,
no
there's only 13 reviews of it.
to see what the difference was.
But this is crazy. Like more a visual novel than an RPG. The gameplay mechanics however feel bland, and the feeling is the players most of the time just watching the game playing itself. So it's in its plot and characters. That's nuts.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Is like so much of this THRL is so much of this is just because the process is not open to the public. Like people don't know that this is happening. So when it's very rare, I'm surprised that they've left this up so long. But it's very rare that you see something like this and go, "Wait, this is what you were thinking when you were doing this?" like credit to Lori, like she seems to have tried to do. I mean, I don't agree with a lot of her stuff, and maybe to be completely fair, maybe some of it is like there was direction or something, right, where they were like, you have to do it this way. But there's some places where she's made mistakes, but I'm not above making mistakes. I'm sure I've made mistakes. I'm absolutely 100% sure I've made mistakes. But that doesn't excuse Dirk's stuff at all.
Oh no, yeah, that dude's just
Lori, I can understand. There's some of this is like, okay, I can see where you were going with this, for sure. Like I can get it. Like that's us. That's not bad. Some of this is good, but the Dirk is just like, oh man,
I mean,
that's so
he
bad.
does about as good of a job from somebody named Dirk with an E that I would have expected. Like, if
Well,
you asked me to come up with like a,
the thing
I
is
mean,
like,
I feel like no, because then there's going to be other people who are named Dirk who don't
yeah,
deserve to be associated with this idiot.
that's the thing, Psyche. So for cover stuff and cover translations, I haven't seen I'm gonna be honest. I don't watch, like I don't read. Yeah, I know you mean Hololive cover. I don't read like if I'm watching like Polka or Okayu or something. I don't watch the translated ones. So I'm not sure. I can't say one way or the other. But translation is very hard. Localization is very hard. Recently, I was at an event and I got called up on stage suddenly, and I had to translate for a lawyer. And he was talking about like visa stuff in Japan, and so he would go on these big long, like not tirades, but just like a whole huge sentence, and then he'd turn and look at me and be like, "Okay, translate it." And it was tough. It was really tough. It's not easy, and the issue is that Japan has a very very hard time of like judging the quality of translations because you can't really know because like the Japanese or the English level in Japan is quite low. It's
Oh
it's
yeah,
hard for
it's
them to
really
be like knowing exactly what's going on.
people usually find that somewhat difficult to believe, but the way that I would describe it to people is like how many people in America actually speak Spanish
Spanish, yeah.
after they took it in like middle school and high school.
And then imagine if like almost everything had a little bit of Spanish in it.
Yeah, like you grab a random person off of the street in like Minnesota and ask them like, "Hey, is this Spanish translation accurate?" Who are they gonna fucking know? No.
Yeah, and then imagine if Spanish was as
Spanish
saturated in America as Japanese as English is in Japan, and take the average level of Spanish understanding and be like, do you really? It's quite tough.
And it's even worse than that because like the Japanese teaching material for English in schools is really bad.
Yeah, it's really bad.
So even people who have good English in Japan by Japanese standards are usually not very good at English.
Yeah. So I have a lot of friends. Like I recently went to a Comiket after party with my friend who he is a Buddhist monk, and he does. Let me see if I can find him. I won't dox him,
I love
but
that guy.
it's public. Like it's public.
Yeah, I love that guy, dude.
He's
That guy is
awesome.
awesome.
Where's the send? You can see there's some pictures. Yeah. Here he is. This is my bro. I was just hanging out with him. I'm gonna save this picture because you could see he's got stuff on his helmet. You can't see the one that I drew on it, but I'll show you. This is my boy.
Yeah, you did a first summit of some ridiculous peak, right?
Yeah, he first summits peaks in the Himalayas. Like people have not climbed those before.
Yeah, dude's a baller.
Nah, it's fine. He's a cool guy. I'm not giving away his name or anything. But what I'm saying is like he's just cool. Where did this save? Why is this not here? Oh, there it is. Okay.
He's of course not affiliated.
Yeah. See the guy.
Etc.
See the helmet. because he's a Comic nerd, and so every time he does a first ascent, is he gets all his friends and stuff to draw anime girls on his helmet for him, and so then these pictures show up like on the news when he does a first ascent. It's great. He's awesome. But even him and like the guys that I work with and I've talked to, their English levels are quite low because it's hard. It's really, really hard. Like some of the best people I know at English are Korean, Japanese, because they had to learn, Korean and Japanese, and then English on top of that was easier for them. So like, it's just like the localization aspect of Japanese is so insular right now that it's quite difficult to find people who are good enough on both.
And also, the people who are doing game translation and things like that are not they are not professional in the same way that Japan expects them to be.
Yeah, yeah.
Japan expects professionalism in basically every role. Like, it's the difference between, like, you see people who are doing fucking streaming and stuff in Japan, they've got, like, outlines, and they like, introduce streams by saying, like, oh, yes, we're going to be doing this, this, and this, and please, if you would like, continue to watch along, and I'm terribly sorry if we go off schedule, and yada, yada, yada. And then Western streamers just go, like, fuck it, bro, we want to play League of Legends for 6 hours? Unplanned.
Hell yeah. And I'm not saying like one or the other is better. It's just, so like when you have this blend of cultural expectations, there's this idea that's like, oh, we hired this translation company, so they're professionals, so we're going to, we're trusting them to do the work correctly. But then you get into here and it's like fans. But it's worse than fans. It's like, ooh, it's time for me to flex and be quirky and fun. Right?
Yeah, it's
like,
Japan expects if you are doing a job that you're going to be professional, because the entire concept of, in-group, out-group politeness and professionalism is hard built into the culture and language.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the idea that people would even do this is not it's not expected at all.
Yeah, I mean, if you like, I've showed this to some of my Japanese friends and they have a hard time believing it. Because it's like, well, I didn't think they would do stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like, why would they do that? Like, they're professional translators, right? Why would they do that?
And they've compared it, or I've listened to them talk about it, and it's similar to how movie translations in Japan happen, where a lot of times there's like 3 or 4, if not 5, different translations of the same movie, because every like studio that releases it, like for Terminator or Commando or whatever, they will do their own subtitles. So if it aired on one channel, that will have their subtitles. If it airs on another channel, it'll have different subtitles for that channel. And they argue about like which are better, but it's like that, but for an official release. I wonder if the original devs ever saw this. I doubt it. I doubt the original devs ever saw this, and it would be difficult to explain to them all of the differences.
Well, that's also the thing going on is people. I'm not saying that you're doing this, but there's a mentality among Western fans and translators that English is the center of the world.
Yeah.
That when really, like, when you think about how many different languages a game is going to be translated into, are you going to care about what the translation of, like, Oppenheimer into Italian was like?
Yeah.
If maybe the official translation of Oppenheimer into Italian is just like complete garbage and filled with tons of errors. Who knows? I don't know. I don't care. I don't speak Italian.
Yeah. That's what actually bothers me more than anything else, is like when English gets put on a pedestal. Like it happens a lot with dubs. Like I've talked about the Tomo-chan thing a lot before, where like obviously the American market is quite large, but I don't think that makes English a special language or like deserves a special place. So like when I went to the Tomo-chan event, if you haven't watched that anime, it's fantastic. Tomo-chan wa onna no ko is really, really good.
It's very good.
It's very good. But it was very popular in the States, very popular in English. But they treat like the dub actors the same as the English VA or as the Japanese VAs, which is nuts. It's just not the same. They're just not. Except for Sally Yamaki, who plays both because she's based.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, English is lingua franca, but at the same time, it's if you're a writer, or like if you're a writer and you're trying to, check the localization or the translation for for the other languages, you can't just sit down and do that for every single language that the game is going to be translated into.
Right. Like the German market or the French market or the Spanish market. Like Spanish market is huge, but it's not like you can just it's not like the devs can be expected to literally babysit the translations for all of those. Like it's not their job. So there has to be some kind of institutional trust between the developers and the localization teams that says, hey, we're doing this right. And then when you get stuff like this article, it's like, we're doing this so wrong that we're bragging about how wrong we are, and we don't seem to realize how wrong it is.
We're doing it wrong on purpose, and let us tell you how much fun it is.
Like, there's an issue.
Yeah, like...
Yeah, dubbing is just...
Yeah,
that's the other thing, too, Fettuccine. Like, that's a good point. A lot of times, unfortunately, like, people will translate just from the English to another language rather than from Japanese to the target language, which I don't think should ever happen.
Yeah, you see that a lot with, like, manga fans, fan translations and things like that, where they take, like, an English and then put it into Spanish, or they take, like a Korean and then put it into Spanish or something like that. But usually those are more accurate because Japanese Korean isn't anywhere near as fucking bad from what I've seen.
Well, that's the thing, Gorgat, is like, I doubt that there's not a lot of like how often do you check out Japanese articles on Japanese sites?
Yeah, like probably never really. Like
even I don't, just because it's more work to read. Like I don't read a lot of I follow like stuff on Japanese Twitter to get news, but I don't like read Japanese news sites very often. Like so it's unlikely.
The language barrier creates a complete cultural barrier. The Japanese internet and the English internet basically don't overlap.
Not too often.
Like they'll overlap on like Twitter, pretty much. Once Twitter got like auto translate, they started overlapping a little bit.
Yeah, 4Gamer, Famitsu, Dengeki.
Those are all like a little. Sources. There was a tiny bit of overlap between like 2channel and 4chan back in the day.
Yeah.
Right, where somebody would be like, "Hey, look at what 2channel thinks about X thing."
Yeah,
and they would go, "Oh wow, they're just like us." That was about it.
Us. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Is like this is such a niche thing. Like, think about it. I always say his name wrong. He's pretty popular, or he's had a pretty decent impact on the localization discourse on Twitter. He's the one who linked me this article to begin with, but this has been up since 2019. I haven't seen anybody cover this up until now. This has just been sitting out there, and maybe other people have covered it, and I missed it. That's certainly possible. Like I'm not saying like I'm the first person to cover this. Yeah, Zako, however you say his name. Yeah, Zako
or whatever.
Yeah, him.
I can't remember how to spell his name.
Maybe somebody else has covered this. I did not check. I'm not going to claim that I'm the first person to cover this, but it certainly hasn't been like linked around a lot. It hasn't been like super discussed. Like certainly not back when things like Unicorn Overlord was coming out
and things like that. But
well, I don't want to make the claim that I might be the first. Like I'm not confident enough to say that. But what I'm saying is like back when the Unicorn Overlord thing was coming out. I didn't see people saying, "Hey, check out this article. It details like a thought process of like localization people," But it's been here since 2019, so that shows you how niche this stuff is. It just goes under the radar.
Yeah, and about like the whole trust thing, I've seen plenty of interviews from Japanese devs who do say like at the end of the day you have to trust the translators.
Yeah.
Right, because what are their options? It's if you're going to hire somebody to do a translation, they give you the translation. They tell you, I'm a native English speaker. This is a good translation. you could maybe send it over to like a translation checker, but if the translation checker also just says, "Yeah, that's a good translation, bro," then what are you gonna do? Like, if you don't know English, that's all you got.
Not only
Ship.
that, but they're an official company. This is a company.
Yeah,
Like,
and they've got like
it's
a
not just some
proven,
guy.
they've got a track record. It's like, yeah, this okay, they've done translations for these games, and we're gonna go with them.
Yeah.
That's it. There's really not much else you can do if you don't speak English. And even if you did speak somewhat decent English, you might just get steamrolled by a translator going, no, 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 no. That culturally they wouldn't get it. It needs to be this way for people to understand the jokes.
Yeah, like you'll notice I almost never do English to Japanese translation because that's way, way, way harder because I'm not a native Japanese speaker. So my vocabulary culturally and linguistically is far more limited than a native Japanese speaker going from English back into Japanese. So a really, really, really fluent Japanese speaker who's fluent in English would be much better for Japanese to English than me. So that's the other issue is it's quite difficult to find those people. And
You basically they have to be somebody who's like half Japanese and is dual native.
yeah, I mean, I'm nowhere near fluent enough to try to do that. Nowhere near.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult. And
Yeah.
you know, at the end of the day, you have to trust it. And also, really, it also comes down to there's a big cultural divide of Westerners are far more willing to push for things aggressively without even necessarily realizing that they're doing it.
Yeah.
And so you take heavily trust based, heavily professional, and heavily like deferent Japanese
Well, it's
businesses. And you put
consensus
them
building, really, I
yeah,
would say.
consensus building, and then you put them up against like obnoxious Americans who are not going to back down and are not even going to realize necessarily that they're being unreasonable or just pushing for things way too hard.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is the Japanese companies go, oh, okay, if you say so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like to give an example, we're talking about pulling these, how egregious and how obvious it is, but this most terrible line in this thing is from some random like encounter with pumpkins in a quest, just some random quest. Like if you were a Japanese dev and you were trying to like fact check this work, there's a high chance you would never find this. You would never know where to look. So it's like trying to second guess is really difficult. It's like, well, the devs should have known better. It's hard to make that claim when they can't do that. I don't know. I've seen some dubs that are quite good in Japanese and some that are quite bad. Like to give an example, the Dune subtitles, for the recent films are quite bad. They miss a lot of the nuance in Japanese because I've obviously I watched Dune 2 in theaters here in Japan, and so the subtitles there are not good. They're not good. Yeah, it's a crapshoot. It really depends. But I would say that they're not good in a different way. They don't really try to force references or they don't try to like force flavor. They end up just kind of missing stuff. They're just kind of like basic mistakes, like errors about who's talking about what or subtext, which are
even
quite
some of
difficult.
the most like egregious, the most famous like bad translations from English into Japanese are just purely incompetent.
Yeah, I haven't
Like,
seen ones that
the
come
Call
across
of
as
Duty
malicious.
one.
Yeah, Call of
The
Duty was
Call
a
of
good
Duty one
example.
is great, where they translated hell yeah as like Jigoku da!
Yeah, it's hell.
Ah! It's hell, yay!
Yeah. The no Russian translation is famous. If you
They're
guys don't know
Russian,
that,
kill them.
you know the no Russian scene. What was that Modern Warfare 2 or is that 1? I can't
It
remember.
was I can't remember. I think
Yeah, it
it
was
was
one
Modern
of them.
Warfare 1.
So it's remember no Russian, like don't speak Russian. It was 2. Yeah. That line in
Japanese
Japanese was they are
they're Russian.
Russians, kill them.
That entire translation is like that's like the bad translation that people point out
Yeah.
online in Japan, and it's just really incompetent.
Yeah, it's just really bad.
It's just like clearly done by somebody who didn't really know what they were doing whatsoever, but so they just kind of don't understand a lot of.
But it made it to release.
Yeah, it made it to release still.
No, it's not an elaborate meme. It was an actual translation. It really happened.
Yeah, it's
It really happened. It
there's
was
like
it
a
was
there's a lot of like
Roshiajin da
big threads
Korose.
of it.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of like big articles and stuff about how bad it was
Yeah, it was quite funny.
because a lot of it was just like ridiculously literal shit, like the hell yeah
Yeah,
being
hell yeah.
translated to,
Jikokuda.
it is hell.
It is
Yes.
hell. This is hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just didn't understand what the phrase hell yeah meant. And so they literally just put in jigoku da. It's
And
hell.
that's also why at this juncture AI translations are also a bit of a crapshoot.
They're not
like,
good, man. They're not good.
You need to have somebody check it. You have to. Otherwise, you'll run into like the LLM not quite understanding the context or missing like memes and stuff, and it will not be good at this
And
moment. Like,
also, I mean, like literally, MTO cannot figure out uh, who is being spoken to by who or gender of speakers when it's vague and there's
yeah,
no
when it's
context
vague,
given.
it's difficult. It's difficult. That's why it's like I would not be super pushing for just like replace all localization people with AI because you're still going to have an editor, and then
Yeah, like
that
if
would
you look at
so
the-
so
look
if
at
we
the
did
article they're
that
doing,
if,
like,
if we
you're
did
looking at
that
this article, right? Like,
that would get rid of Lori, replace
And keep
Lori
Dirk.
with an LLM, and Dirk would still be there.
yeah, for the people who are like, oh, replace translators with AI, you're getting rid of Lori and you're keeping Dirk.
Yeah, you want to get rid of Dirk.
Like that is very counterproductive. Things would be a lot worse.
Yeah, I get the idea of like you guys suck so bad it's like the same as it's the same as an AI. Like I get the line, like the through line. I would just say be careful pushing for that because you might get
want
it.
man.
You might get that, and you might not like what happens when you get that. Like,
Yeah.
just be careful.
Yeah,
That's my my
it's
exaltation.
well, really, it's like you shouldn't be, or rather, it's
It's kind of throwing your hands up in the air and saying I give up, right?
Yeah,
It's just saying, oh fuck it, we'll just have AI do it. It's like I give up. Well, no, like we can continue to push for stuff and do streams like this, and I again, I don't see myself as any sort of cultural warrior or whatever. I'm just raising awareness, and hopefully you guys find this kind of stuff enjoyable, and you can point to the stream and be like, no, here's a very clear breakdown of the issues, but I think that's more productive than just being like, just go all in on AI, because at the end of the day, you still need somebody to like know Japanese to check it. Because if you can't check it, then how do you know if it's good or not?
yeah. The problem with saying like, oh, we want direct translation or oh, just do AI, is that anybody who speaks the language and anybody who works in translation is going to rightfully recognize that as an uninformed opinion.
Yeah, you
from
won't be able to
somebody who doesn't
defend
really
that
know what they-
position well.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to defend that position. They can tear that to shreds very easily. The better position is, okay, no, localization is necessary in a lot of spots. Why are you so bad at it?
Yeah, why are you
Like,
so fucking
Dirk
bad
says
at it?
himself, localization shines brightest when it's in the shadows. Why are you so bad at it, Dirk?
Yeah,
Like, yeah, you do need to do some localization work here, Dirk. Why are you so bad at your fucking job?
yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of MTL ended up being better in some cases and worse in others. It wouldn't surprise me. But at the same time, it's like Dirk's still there editing the script.
Yeah, that's the issue, is that if you're going to need someone doing proofreading, and so you would rather the person if somebody is doing malicious proofreading, you would still rather that they have a more accurate script. Like, imagine how fucking insane this dude would have went if he had like a super inaccurate MTL script to work off of.
Yeah.
He would have been insane.
Yeah, if it was just him, like if the head count was reduced and it was just the editor working from MTL, I would be much more worried.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
But
So it's much better to actually it's much better to identify the problem and to accurately break
Yeah.
down why the problem is the problem.
Yeah. I agree.
You know, like for over on a double perfect KO, I'm going through all of Final Fantasy 14. Shameless plug.
Yeah.
Uh,
Shameless plug.
and
No, you should follow though because Dan has been going through all of
the
Final
entire
Fantasy
game,
14, all of
it's
it.
garbage. It's
It's
fucking
bad. It's very
terrible.
bad. And then we're gonna go through Metaphor Refantasy together.
Refantasio, yeah. But people, people do not. People assume that the translation for Final Fantasy 14 is good because it's an in-house team, and they've said like, "Oh, we're working super closely with the original writers," and really, it's like the exact same script and all of that. But the game just has completely fundamental story issues where the Japanese will say one thing in regards to the story, and the English will say the exact opposite. And it's very apparent that there was no communication between the writing teams because the English introduces plot hole after plot hole after plot hole with just pure garbage.
Sonny, I will say the reason that this is happening and the reason this is all passing is because I'll give you two words: spoony bard. That's the honestly that's my real opinion. Like if I have a hot take about anything, it's that those early games that got rushed translation should never have come over to the States, in my opinion. I
Oh,
understand that's like people's childhood, and that's like touching on a real hot button thing where it's like, man, I loved those games as a kid, right? But but
yeah.
those translations set the stage for Japanese games and JRPGs being quirky, puns, the Woosley stuff, like the spoony bard, the all of that set the tone, and then it turned off people who were like, "Well, I don't want to play this." Is like you got. I mean, I'm an old man at this point, and you know, if you remember, like the way people used to talk about JRPGs, back in the X game or not the X games, what was it, X Play?
X-Play era.
Yeah, in the X Play era, right? Like if I could go back and say these games will not reach the Americas or will not reach the West for another 10 years until the technology has improved that people don't have to deal with like cartridge space issues or any of like the technical stuff, and then it actually gets more budget and more time. I would have massively preferred that. And I think it would have been better for the industry and better for Japanese games in general if they had not reached the Western market for another 10 years.
Yeah, because the through line here is dudes like Dirk, you can tell from the way that he writes in the article. He's not a fan of Japanese games. He's a fan of the old Woosley translated versions
Yeah,
of
yeah.
Japanese games. He doesn't actually like Japanese writing. He doesn't like Japanese games. He likes other people's fanfics of Japanese games.
Yeah.
The entire industry right now is like if a bunch of people claimed to be fans of Dragon Ball, but all they watched was DBZ abridged.
Yeah. The Dragon Maid
they're
thing is
like,
just
"Oh,
the
I'm
Dragon
such a
Maid is just
huge
super
fan."
obviously bad.
I'm
It's
such a
just
huge
super
fan of
obvious.
Dragon Ball. Yeah, I love DBZ abridged. No, I've never watched the original.
Woolsey,
Woolsey?
Woosley. I feel like
Woolsey?
is it Woolsey?
Is it
Woosley.
Woolsey? I don't care.
Yeah,
His name's Woosley now.
his name's Woosley to me.
His name's Woosley.
No,
Wooly.
that's Wooly. Woolsey is one of the original quote unquote translators for the Final
Didn't
Fantasy
actually
series.
translated. He didn't actually translate shit.
You know,
He
like
did a
the
bunch
whole
of
spoony
early
bard line.
JRPGs,
Yeah.
and they're just garbage. They're complete garbage translations.
Yeah.
Total hack. But
Well,
people
that's the thing
still
is,
respect him because it's like, oh, he was the pioneer. He helped Japanese games get brought over to the West, except they didn't get brought over. They
yeah.
got parodies of them got brought over.
But that's the thing is like that stuff to me is so much more damaging than the Dragon Maid thing, because
Yeah, Dragon Maid thing is
anybody can look at the Dragon Maid thing, and if you're a reasonable person, you just go, "Oh, that's shit." Like that's obvious. Like you're an
clearly
insane
changed.
person. Like you're an insane person pushing an agenda. That's obvious. No issues there. Yep. But if you go back, people will to this day defend the old translations as good just because they grew up with them. But they're not.
Or
They're
they'll
not.
defend changes because they're funny, or things like that when they're completely inaccurate, and those are so much worse.
Oh
Like,
yeah, the Dragon Maid was like, there's no way that could be real. It's too absurd.
yeah, like with the Final Fantasy XIV thing is like that, where there isn't any sort of like, oh, agenda pushing blah 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 stuff in
Yeah.
there. It's just ridiculously inaccurate in ways that people assume are not possible.
Well,
They're
yeah,
like,
like
well,
the
it's an
like
in-house
even
team with Square Enix. How and they've got direct lines of communication with the writers of the game. How? What do you mean they added in plot holes? What do you mean they didn't understand the script and so they just like wrote shit completely backwards?
well,
No, they can't have done that. It's an in-house team.
yeah, and if you're talking
No,
about
they're just
agenda, there's no political agenda in this Pumpkinhead thing, but it's fucking awful. It's just bad. It's just not good. But that's the thing, Cancer's humor is like I don't like I said, I don't begrudge people for enjoying those old games. Like I have very fond memories of Paper Mario. I have very fond memories of Star Fox 64, all those older games. And I don't doubt that like I think Star Fox was okay, but I don't I'm not gonna go back and say like, oh, you were wrong for enjoying them. But we have to recognize that like if it's wrong, it's wrong.
Yeah,
It
like
doesn't make it. It's just because you liked it when you were a kid doesn't mean that it was good.
yeah, and that's why it's important to point out any and all mistakes, even if there's stuff that you don't like. Like, even if the like in 14 again, because it's the thing that I've been doing the most. There's
Yeah,
tons of times where I don't actually like the original Japanese script. Where I'm like, oh, this is kind of like awkward. This is boring. This character kind of sucks. But I don't care if you retranslated that to make it more quote unquote more interesting. I care that it's accurate.
yeah. Star Fox 64. It's been a while since I looked, but I watched a Japanese playthrough. It seemed mostly okay from what I saw. Like, don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. You could find some stuff that's really egregious in there, but when I was watching through it, it seemed pretty good. It seemed okay. There's not that much dialogue in it, honestly. I didn't watch many of the pivotal scenes, so like like the Andros end fights and stuff. I didn't really get to there, so I can't say if it's bad or not. But the opening scenes, they seemed fine to me. It wasn't anything I was like, oh, this is really bad.
One
I
thing that I
don't.
actually
Yeah, it's quotable. That's the thing. Is like I also didn't check any of the like, no, hit the brakes. I can't stop it, or
one of the
I'm
things that I
sure
heard
Falco's lines are not the same. I'm sure like we're monkey food or hey Einstein, I'm on your side are not the same. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with having had fun with it. It's fine.
considering that Corona did that 36-hour Paper Mario TTYD stream.
Uncle
I actually
Andros,
I
I
am
failed you.
happy to say that in Thousand Year Door, Mario is given the name Great Gonzalez
Great Gonzalez
in
is
the fire.
extremely based.
It is. I was very surprised that that was actually accurate.
Oh, that's interesting.
In
I
the
didn't know they
Japanese, they
changed
have
it.
him called Goreto Gonzalez. Yeah,
Great Gonzalez. God, I wish we could get
it's a
another
good one.
good Paper Mario game. They missed the
God,
layup for Paper Luigi. Just make Paper Luigi.
give me Paper Luigi. I want to play through the entire story that Luigi tells you in TTYD.
That would be perfect. If they gave literally, it's right
I
there. The
want to kick
script is right
that
there.
blooper into the fucking volcano.
It's
He
fucking.
deserved it.
He had it coming. God, I missed that. That was such a
That would have
great
been
game.
good.
All right. Well, I think it's been. Well, we went through the whole thing. It's been about 3.5 hours. That was fun. Did you guys have fun? I had fun. um, if you haven't given the channel a subscribe, please do. I also do IRL stuff. I got a new phone, all sorts of cool stuff coming up for IRL streams. I'm going to be heading out probably. I'm trying to get out to the Dark Sky location in, what is it, Iriomote, Ishigaki, down in Okinawa at some point, maybe this summer. But yeah, we're gonna have Metaphor Refantizio coming up maybe next weekend. I think should be good.
Yeah, it
And
should be good.
then more
That's
IRL stuff.
already.
Good to have you
I've
guys here.
been seeing going through a little bit of a refantasia already in the Japanese, and it is not good in the
Yeah, it's
English.
not good, but it
The
was
game itself is
good.
really good. The game itself
Good
is really
having you
good. The
guys here.
translation that I've seen is really bad.
And check out, I got a new ending screen. It was great Gonzalez, right? But check out this new
Yeah,
ending screen I got.
in English and Japanese, the fight arena name is Great Gonzalez.
I got the flip note guy to make me these.
God,
I just need some.
God,
I
I
need
love that
some.
guy.
I need some music for it though. I'm still looking for music that won't get me
I
copy
love that
struck
guy.
immediately. I love the flip note guy. But yeah, thanks for coming to the stream, everybody. Be sure to leave a like, comment, all that good stuff. I have to do it for the YouTube algorithm stuff. I think if I say like hit the like button, it lights up on your phone, which is obnoxious but very funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks guys. I will see you guys later. Potentially
Peace
IRL
out.
tomorrow as well. See ya.